Golden crush through the gaming king. CJ the DJ spinning like a dream. Brooklyn vibes to the world of themes. Pixel warriors gather round. Controllers clicking, that's the sound. Using games to break it down. From the boroughs to the global town. Welcome to the game lounge. Welcome to the game lounge, where the players hang and the beats pound. Golden crust and CJ in the mix. Dropping heat hotter than a joystick fix. Mr. Roll with Ash Ketchum, the OG squad. Now CJ brings the fire, no facade. Word game sharper than a ninja's blade. Every Sunday we got the arcade made. From Twitch to the globe we taking flight. Brooklyn roots, though we shine worldwide. Press start if you're ready to vibe. The Game Lounge crew keeping it live. Gather round, don't hit pause. For the gamers we the cause. Cheat codes, now we play raw. Gather round, don't hit pause. For the gamers we the cause. Cheat codes, now we play raw. Gather round, don't hit pause. For the gamers we the cause. Cheat codes, now we play raw. Sunday night we hit the screen. Golden crush through the gaming king. CJ the DJ spinning like a dream. Brooklyn vibes to the world of themes. Pixel warriors gather round. Controllers clicking, that's the sound. Using games to break it down. From the boroughs to the global town. Welcome to the game lounge. Welcome to the game lounge, where the players hang and the beats pound. Golden crust and CJ in the mix. Dropping heat hotter than a joystick fix. Mr. Roll with Ash Ketchum, the OG squad. Now CJ brings the fire, no facade. Word game sharp.
What's going on, everybody? We here.
What's up,
First of all, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Shout out to all the mothers. It is Mother's Day, bro.
Facts.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to my mother, your mother, their
Facts.
mothers,
Everybody's
all the
mothers.
mothers. You know the mothers get all the love, and we love y'all. Shout out to all the mothers in the chat, all that. Welcome
All
to the
new
Game
mothers,
Lounge.
upcoming mothers.
Yep. Season 3, episode Mother's Day. That's what this is. This is episode Mother's Day because it's Mother's Day. So, you know, I'm your host, Golden Crush 200, a.k.a. Mr. 200. And as y'all can see, CJ the DJ's not here.
Yeah.
So we got Mr.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ash Catching More, man. Tune in for my boy CJ. Shouts out to Monet.
You know what I'm saying? So they taking care of business. We all know what's going on. We all waiting on Cosavius.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Cosavius Jr.
Cosavius Jr. the third. Cosavius Jr. the third. So we got a couple of things to talk about. And you know, the Grim Reaper showed his head. So I'm gonna throw something up real quick.
What's good, everybody? What up, Kitty? What up, Don? Bay? Yeah, man, we got some bad news, man.
Yep. So we gotta give our flowers out
some bad
to
news.
my boy. If y'all remember, R.I.P. to my boy OG Wiz. That's somebody that I actually know. He was actually here at was it my birthday
Yeah, he was here
show.
like twice, I believe. I met him
Yeah,
twice.
he met him twice. So OG Wiz was sitting back here,
Right.
chilling with us, and unfortunately, OG Wiz has passed away. So R.I.P. to my boy Wiz. Yeah, I see it up there. We gotta take a
Right.
toast for my boy Wiz, man.
Facts. He always show love in the chat too. Brooklyn's
Yup,
finest, always.
yup. Always, he's always
Feel
in
me?
here talking his shit, showing
Right.
mad love. So R.I.P. to my boy Wiz.
We're gonna pull up to my boy, man. Great guy. Met him twice. Great guy, man. Oh, so you gotta pull me up, man.
Yeah, great, yo, Wiz was a real OG, man. Wiz was a real OG,
triple OG.
OG, triple OG. You feel me? And Wiz would show love to the show, like he was a supporter.
Facts.
Wiz was a supporter. I don't think y'all know. I get text message sometimes. Wiz like, yo, why the show ain't start yet?
Right.
I need you to be on time. The show is 6 o'clock. I need you to, yo, like he was like, you feel me? And he told me he was gonna pull up for the birthday stream, and he did. So R.I.P. to my boy Wiz.
R.I.P. to my boy Wiz, man. They say a man only dies when he's forgotten.
We ain't gonna forget Wiz. You crazy? We ain't gonna forget. Well, this for Wiz right here.
Facts.
Send my boy Wiz off. Nice. We ain't gonna forget Wiz.
You're hitting hard right now, Wiz. Shit. My boy.
Wiz will tell you to man up, nigga.
There's some hair in my chest, man.
Let that candle burn for Wiz real quick, y'all. Let that candle burn for Wiz real quick.
Facts.
R.I.P. OG Wiz, man. All right, so like we said, R.I.P. to Wiz and the family. I know he had a wife, he had a daughter. You know what I'm saying? Wiz had just moved up to Maryland.
Oh yeah.
Like a month ago. That was him and his wife's dream, was to move to Maryland. Finally happened, and a month later, you know what I'm saying? It happened. But like I said, R.I.P. again. So as you guys see, Ashes co-hosted today because we all know CJ Monet.
Yeah, you got them in the chat. What's up, y'all?
Hey, Melanin, yes, R.I.P. CJ is here.
R.I.P., man.
Yes, clap it up. Appreciate y'all for popping in. And it is Mother's Day, right?
Yep.
So
what up, Stujen?
Happy Mother's Day to Monet. You know what I'm saying? Give me a second here. This is crazy. It's so, Ash, I appreciate you for pulling up.
You already know.
I appreciate y'all for pulling up, man. Gotta show love, Ash.
Facts.
But anyway, I got a message from CJ, and since CJ couldn't be here, they wanted y'all to see this. I'm glad they popped up at the right time.
Still hitting. What is this? This is Terramana?
Yep, that's that Terramana, baby.
Shit.
Here we go, chat. Everybody lock in. What'd that say? Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. We love you all. Read that right there. Tell a little calculator. We're gonna welcome in everybody. The moment we've been waiting for.
Josevius.
Come on, put some love on that boy right there. Mike, come love. Josevius Jr. the third is finally here, chat, and this is him right here.
Yeah, he did it like him. That's CJ.
That's that CJ right there.
CJ can never deny that
That's
kid.
That's CJ right there.
Literally. CJ Jr. Wow.
Look at Mom Dukes chilling. Look at Mom Dukes chilling. Happy Mother's Day, sis.
Happy Mother's Day, sis.
Welcome in, Josevius.
Little do you know he welcome in. He welcome in. Oh, wow.
Say hi to the game lounge.
Wow.
What's up, nephew?
The game lounge.
That boy looks super healthy.
Boy, that boy looking good.
He opening his eyes already. Like some babies don't open their eyes the first day.
Bless you.
He look like a grown man already.
Say hi to all the game lounge and all the Twitch family.
Wow. Yo, that's CJ's twin.
Yeah, that's
Where's the
twin
mother?
right there, bro.
They call
Wow.
you CJ Cosavius Jr. the third. You CJ Cosavius Jr. the third, and he says hi. My boy.
I swear babies can't open their eyes when they first born, but this baby,
My
look, he
man
opened
is
his eyes
aware
full, like
again.
he's seeing. He's seeing. He already see what's up.
Congratulations to CJ, the DJ, our co-host, and Melanated Monet, the queen of the show, Cosavius Jr. the third,
Facts.
is finally here. Yes.
Little did he
My
know he
boy
coming into
looking
some
healthy
love.
and everything,
He got
man.
a village, man. He got a village. behind
listen,
him.
you got mad unks over here,
Uh-huh.
man. We're gonna have to take another one. You Gucci?
I need to chase. You got a chaser gang?
Yeah. Take a half shot of something. We gotta put something up for Cosavius.
I need some juice, nigga.
Come on.
This shit is strong as fuck. You got no juice in the fridge?
You should.
So I was saying he gotta get some juice,
Or I gotta
man.
go
Come on.
upstairs. Oh, come on.
Fuck. All right, go. Come on.
Trying to get Cosavius right.
Shout out to my boy Xavier, CJ. No, give me some more, man. Don't.
Okay, all right.
Give me some more in your cup too. That's good.
You the one that was on the juice.
CJ Jr. Xavier's
The third. Welcome to life, nephew. Game
Welcome
Lounge,
to
we
life,
love you.
man.
Come on, man. There you go, Game Lounge.
Okay, second one not that bad.
There you go, Game Lounge. Said, how do the girls like him? This man gonna be spoiled.
Yeah.
This man is gonna be spoiled, I'm telling you.
You're gonna be a heartbreak kid. Literally.
This man's gonna be spoiled. Let me shout out some people in the chat. We got Matt Gaming. We got Dirty 420. We got CJ, of course. Big Brooklyn in the building. Cadence.
Brooklyn was good.
Galaxy Storm. What's going on
We
with
got
you?
Cadence. I didn't see Cadence in a minute.
Yep, we got Bay. First of all, shout out to Bay for the raid. We got Kitty, the best mod in the world. We got everybody. Stu, yo, my man, what up, Stu? Stu's in the building.
Stewie.
Baldoni is definitely in the building. You feel me? Clap it up for everybody. That's in the goddamn
Everybody
building.
showing love, man. 21, 723 followers. You doing
723
good, man.
followers. We doing all right. We're doing all
Doing
right.
great.
We chasing that 1K. You feel me? We chasing that 1K. Congratulations again to Cosavius, man. So, in current events, you got anything? What's going on? What's on your mind?
Well, great news for the Knicks.
Great
We up
news.
4-0, nigga. Sweet. Straight sweep.
Sweet.
Straight sweep for the Knicks, man.
Sweet. You
Straight
got
to the
it.
next round. Straight to the
Come on.
Eastern Conference Finals. You already
Come
know. They
on.
going crazy in
They
Manhattan
going
right now.
crazy. They going crazy.
4-0, man. Philly, fuck you.
Yeah.
New York, man.
New York all
Brooklyn
day.
shit. You
He
feel
ain't
me?
lying. He ain't lying. New
Feel
York
me?
all day.
East
New
Flat was
York
born
all
and
day.
raised, nigga.
Brooklyn. You feel me?
What part of Brooklyn you from, nigga?
What you mean? What? You trying to G-check me? You trying to G-check me?
What part of Brooklyn you from,
I'm coming
man?
from Picking Ave area
Okay.
before we got
Oh.
up here, bro.
Oh,
Chill.
shit.
Don't
Oh,
do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. I called the Ave, nigga. Picking,
Okay.
nigga.
Oh, shit. Picking niggas in the Ville.
East Flatbush, Big Brooklyn is East Flatbush. What else you got? Anything else on your mind?
Trying to think as far as gaming.
You know, we just had the Met Gala.
Yeah, I seen.
We
I
just had
actually see
the
some
Met-
dresses.
You see some dresses?
Yeah, I seen
so
some
you know
lit.
we got to do a little drip or drop.
Okay.
We want to
okay.
do a little drip. So I'm pretty sure everybody know that we had the Met Gala. What day was that? A couple days ago,
I
right?
think it was on. What was that Thursday? I believe.
Thursday?
I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. One of those days.
Met Gala on Wednesday or Thursday. So you know we're gonna have to do a little drip or drop with that. We're gonna have to check out some
Facts,
fits
facts.
and see what these celebrities is looking like. So we're gonna segue right on into that.
Cain in church. Word. Okay.
What she said?
Brooklyn's a Cain in church.
Kate
CJ said
in the church,
nigga,
Brownsville.
ain't
Yep.
never will. Church
Blackbird
Ave,
Blue
feel
say
me?
Church Ave. I used to listen.
Church Ave run fall too. That shit.
Yo,
run
no,
blocks,
Church
nigga.
Ave is deep.
Yeah, that
Church
shit run
Ave is
blocks.
deep.
No funny shit. Everybody should know Church Ave.
Yo, Stu, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I can't wait to get into this drip or drop.
Mhm.
I can't wait to get to this drip or drop. So basically, for those of y'all know who what drip or drop is, we're gonna throw up some fits from the Met Gala outfits the celebrities or whatever is wearing,
Mhm.
and we're gonna rate it, see if we like it, and it's gonna be a drip means we like it, or drop mean that shit flop.
Yep.
You feel me?
Yep.
All right, so let's get it.
Any new games you found you want to speak about?
Yes.
Anything you playing new?
Yes, we definitely got some things to talk about. Yes, let's talk about this fat, big back bitch named Mario. Yeah, let's talk about
Oh,
this.
you started playing
motherfucker.
Super Mario World,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I ain't got nothing against Mario. But fuck you. It's not working out. with certain jumps, bro. Niggas talking about running, and this nigga's just running off the board, bro. But that, and I've been playing a game called Replaced. Replaced came out. It just came out, but it also had dropped on Game Pass. But I didn't know it was going to drop. I actually was seeing
So
it.
it's free on Game Pass right now?
I actually came across it before it came out on Game Pass.
Wagwan, Koza.
Kozo, what's going on with
Bridget?
your twin? What's going on with your twin? Yo, Kozo, we just debuted Kozavius. Kozavius is here. We just debuted Kozavius. We'll run it back for you. You feel me?
Wagwan, Regin.
So the game is called Kitty said GK get good. I'm great. I passed good already. It's called Replaced. And it's that like old school pixelated kind of graphic, but it's
I know last time I saw you watching, he was lost.
And what?
And Replaced. He was like, yo, where the fuck do I go? Yo, who do I
Well,
speak
yeah,
to? Y'all
yeah,
saw this
bro.
already.
Yeah, bro.
Y'all
But
saw
I
this
figured,
already.
I figured it out. But I'm always
Yeah.
lost in
The
everything.
nigga was right there the whole time, right?
The whole time, bro. Dude was standing right there. See this drip or drop. I want to see.
Oh, you want to see it? Okay.
I want to see.
Start it off?
Who got swag or not? We're ready when you are. You got something you want to talk about?
Nothing right now that I can think about. I ain't gonna lie. You can start up with Triple John.
He said, Monet, congratulations. Tell my nephew we all got his corner. We was just saying that. Bro's born with a ton of uncles, yo.
Word?
From all over the world, bro.
Oh, shit.
All right,
You live at church at 54th? Oh, shit, you right there.
Who said that?
Blackbird.
Mother Native Monet say thank you all. Church in 54th. Oh, you from
That's
around
right
the
there,
way.
nigga.
That's right there.
Yeah.
You literally right there. That's right there. Or was. All right, let's play drip or drop. You see, you already coming down the runway. My boy, we fly with it. You feel me? Drip or drop, y'all. Let's go.
You want to put full screen so we can see it?
So we can see it?
Yes, I can see it a little bit better.
It's a lot of work for me to say it.
What you do? Pull the screen up.
Basically, you want me to switch the screen?
No. See this bottom screen? Just pull it up. And they should be able to see this well already. Yeah, let's put a full screen for us. Yeah. Hailey Bieber?
Okay, Hailey Bieber. Drip or drop? Y'all feeling the fit? Y'all fucking with it?
I like the fit. I ain't gonna lie, it's simple.
I fuck with it.
Color,
I say this is a
gold
drip.
and blue is always
I
good,
say this is drip.
It's giving me like some type of like
You don't see a lot of people pull out gold and blue like that.
Yeah.
That's a drip. That's drip right there. What y'all think?
What's those people that wear like the armor and they ride horses? Forgot the name of them.
Like knights and shit?
No, not knights. The people that have like they ride the horses that's flying. Forgot the
Flying
name.
horses?
Yeah, I forgot
Pegasus
the name of
and
the
shit?
Yeah.
You talking about them Roman niggas? Greek niggas? The gods and shit?
It was in Marvel. Like I can't remember the name of them.
Big Brooklyn say nah, drop. Baldoni say drip. Yo, you say Kitty say drop? Really?
Nah, I like this. What do you call them? Valerian?
Aladdin ass
What do they call
fit.
Valerians? I think.
Drip though. Valerians?
Is it Valerians?
I
People
think
that-
wait. I'm trying to see. We got more drips or drops here.
Everybody's saying drop. I actually like the fit.
Nah, Koza say drip. Kitty say drop. Big Brooklyn say drop. Baldoni say drip. Galaxy Song say drop.
Was good, cool.
Yo, cool frijoles. What's it? Drip or drop? Cool. Damn, I think I
feel
say
like-
drip. What you say?
I say drip. I feel like blue always go with gold, like, and then the shit is dragging. I always like
I
dresses like
fucks
that.
with it,
It's not.
though.
It's not too much.
It's not too much.
too flashy. It's just
I
feel
fucks
me.
with it, though.
In and out type shit.
I fucks with it.
Yeah, I like it. And she look good. She pretty as hell.
Stu said I ain't feeling it. I guess we got more drops. Yeah, I'm bugging. I don't know. I feel like this is simple and elegant at the same time.
Yeah.
You feel me? And it fits her body. You know what I mean?
He said it's not enough. I feel like. I mean.
I feel like it's
You don't have to go all
you
out.
don't
to the
gotta
gala.
be
You gotta
crazy
just be
with it.
fitted.
I feel like that's fire though. I disagree with Chat on this one. Yo, Papa Chomp, drip or drop? You like
Oh,
the
shit,
fit
what up,
or not?
Chop?
Papa Chomp, you like the fit? Talk to me, Chomp.
What's good, BK? My boy BK Dragon in the building.
Yo, Dragon. Okay, we got more options now. Drip or drop, y'all. Drip means you like it. Drop means you don't like the outfit that you see on the screen. Drip or drop. And for those of y'all just coming
I don't
in,
get y'all. He said drop.
this is from the Met
do they
Gala
wanna-
2026.
what y'all
Who
wanna
said
see?
drop? Papa Chomp say drop.
They want to see a bird
I
above her head or
fucks
something.
with it, bro.
Yeah.
I fucks with it heavy.
But that's what makes it. That's what makes it personally.
Some
me, that's why I like
simplicity is
it.
better sometimes, though.
Yeah.
I guess we got more drop then.
Fuck it, drop them.
Wow. Chat. Yeah, I'm surprised that chat on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Even BK Dragon say drop. Fake ass Katana. Wow, they angry.
Right.
Wow, chat. Calm down. Shit.
I saw a majority of the dresses. And I didn't really like them.
All right, let's see what we got next. I forgot her name. Aone Yoki or something like that.
Oh.
I forgot. Anybody know? I forgot. Damn it. I looked at it to type it in and I forgot to type it in while I was editing it.
I like it.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
I fucks with it.
I like it.
I fucks with it. I'm gonna say drip. I'm gonna say drip. What you got? Drip?
Yeah, drip.
Drip, drip, drip. I fucks with it.
You can't go wrong with all black.
Definitely drip. Okay, we all agree then. We all agree then. So wait a minute, man.
That's what I'm saying. What's the difference?
Y'all really wasn't feeling this though? I kind of feel like I want to argue with y'all. Like this is fire as fuck.
Right.
I know what you're talking about. The people you're talking about that hold the spears and shit
Mm-hmm.
with the
what
helmet.
They call them again.
With the helmet.
Yeah, what do they call
I
them?
know the fuck you talking about. You talking about them Spartacus niggas.
Really?
You
Yeah,
talking-
the woman though.
Yeah, I know exactly
They
what
was in
you're
the
talking
Thor
about.
movie.
Valkyries?
Valkyries, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Valkyries,
yeah.
the Valkyries, yeah, that's what she reminded
I
me of.
feel like y'all bugging though.
Yeah,
like,
Valkyries, yep.
I really feel like y'all bugging. Wow. All right. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave y'all alone with it. I'm gonna leave y'all alone with it. I feel
We're
like
talking about the other fit. The black one is giving me like Assassin's Creed.
Nah, this is
vibe,
dope.
Like
This is dope.
modern Assassin's Creed. Type
This is
vibe.
dope. This is dope. That hoodie is fucking lit.
Yeah.
That hoodie,
She mad mysterious. so
she's killing
makeup
it.
is fire.
Makeup is fire. Makeup is
good.
everything goes good.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's definitely drip right there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
She
definitely
dripped that
drip. All right.
out. Only women like that can pull that off though.
Spartan kick. Wow. All right. Let's see what else we got. Okay, that's Beyonce and Blue Ivory. That put the two of them in
Which
one.
is which? I don't even know. They look like twins.
They look a lot alike, right? That's Beyonce and Blue Ivory. Drip, drip, drip. I don't know. I think Blue killing it though.
Yeah, Blue killing it.
Blue
I don't know about
killing it.
Beyonce. Beyonce looking like
It's the skeleton thing
a
she got going on.
Mesopotamian.
I don't
goddess
know.
and shit.
I don't think it's. I don't know if it's drip or drop for Beyonce yet, but I go drip for Blue.
Yeah.
I think Blue
She
killing
tall
it.
as shit too.
Yeah, she killing it. She killing it. Blue Ivory drip. Let me see what y'all saying. It said drop. Bay look like Bay Beyonce's mid. Blue Ivory's drip. Drop. Bay look like dead bro. I like Blue Ivory, so I would say drip for. But for
Beyonce, this is the
I would
definition
say
of
drop.
doing too much. Cause it's like
Nutty Duddy say drop drip. Okay, he should drop drip. Okay,
it should have had more like a light, like a cape, like a white kind of cape, like a see-through silk. And yeah,
Big
but I
Brooklyn
don't like
say
that.
drip
I don't like
for
that
both of
fur.
them.
I don't like that fur. That fur is not it.
nah, Don Trill, you can't plead no fifth, son. We need you to vote, bro. We need
Yeah,
you
the
to
skeleton
vote.
is fine, but I don't like the fur. The fur is not it. Fur
I
go
don't.
with it.
Here's the thing. Blue Ivory, clear drip.
Yeah, she good.
Clear drip. She killing it. She murdering it. I feel like the Beyonce thing, I don't want to say drop, but I don't want to say drip either. It's she attempted something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't
Should
know.
have had the white silk. That would have been fire.
I still don't know where to go with it though. I don't know
I don't
if
like the
it's
fur.
drip
It
or
shoulda like
drop. I don't
like a
really think it's
carcass.
either for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's feathers. I don't think that's feathers. Don't look like feathers to me. Could be.
Giving like that's a Mayan and kind of like helmet look. Like that's a Mayan crown. I believe.
She said she looked like Beyonce. Looked like she's trying to mimic a spinal cord. That's crazy. I don't know. I'm definitely drip for Ivory.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she good. All
I guess
white,
if I
she good,
had
all
to
white.
choose, and I do,
Mhm.
it's barely a drop for Beyonce. 'Cause I don't necessarily dislike it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't like it enough to say drip.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just say drop. Like Queen of the Damned. I see that. Yes. I see what you're saying with that. Queen of the Damned with the Beyonce shit. But damn, Blue killing it though. Blue killing
She
it.
might be Galaxy. I ain't gonna lie.
What she said?
She's trying to mimic a falcon. Cause one of them is like feathers, the other one is bones.
Probably.
But, I mean, I don't know. Beyonce.
I see
Beyonce
skeleton
mindset
vibes.
is just be Whoever.
Let's see what we got next. So it's drop drip.
Yeah, basically.
Drop drip. Okay. All right, chat. I'm with y'all on that. Janelle Monáe.
Drop. See
What y'all think about this one? Janelle Monáe.
Janae on it? Wait, what's her
Janelle,
name?
right there, his name right there. Janelle Monáe.
Oh.
You know Janelle Monáe?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's Janelle Monáe. That's my girl too. I think she's gorgeous.
I don't like it.
I do think she's gorgeous, but I'm gonna go drop. It's too.
She,
I don't know
what's.
She
wearing a towel on her body? What is that?
I don't know. Is she a tree? I don't know. What is going on here?
Oh, I'm trying to get the inspiration. I'm trying to see.
Blackbird Blue
I should like streets.
said good night.
Yeah, Groot. That's Groot wife.
Groot, why? That's crazy. That's Groot.
And her shit look Photoshop. Like she got like hip filters or something. Like,
He said that Groot's wife is hilarious.
Her waist look mad tiny.
I don't know. I dropped though. Poison Ivy. Oh, okay, Chomp. I see that. Poison Ivy. I see that. She looks like all the cords wrapped around the Xmas tree. That's funny.
She got fucking.
That's fucking funny.
She got badges on her. Like, I don't know about that.
That's fucking funny. All the cords wrapped around the Christmas tree is hilarious, bro. Y'all coming at her right now. This is crazy work. Chat is funny. Big drop. Damn, nobody likes it? I am Groot looking ass.
Yeah.
He said one titty bigger than the other one.
That's what I'm saying. She got like the little badges on her titties.
I see it. Next. All right, brother. Ew. Off my screen. I'm taking it off the screen because y'all definitely don't like this shit.
Swamp Thing.
Let me see what y'all gonna say about Rihanna. Let me see what y'all gonna say about Rihanna. Let me see what y'all gonna say about this Riri. Oh shit, Blackbird said bye. Yo, y'all are fucking hilarious, yo. I love y'all.
I'm trying to see the inspiration, like what's going on.
I fucking love chat. I love chat. It's nothing but drops everywhere, son. This is what niggas. You know how much this dress probably cost, bro?
ASAP was talking crazy. Huh?
Who? ASAP Rocky?
He said ASAP was talking. He said, I see why ASAP was talking crazy.
Bro, you know how much this shit probably cost, though? I'm getting bird nest. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I'm getting bird nest. You feel what I'm saying? That's definitely a drop. I do, however, like the makeup and the hairdo.
Yeah, she look good.
I like the makeup and the hairdo. I love the makeup and the hair. She looks good.
Yeah.
The makeup is hitting. You know what I'm saying? That style, that flow that they gave
on. She got the jewelry.
With the rings, the jewelry. I feel like if we took that bubble shit off, that circle shit, it might hit. You feel me?
Yeah, it might.
The dress might hit, but that round piece.
I don't like the middle part. It look like mad pennies and shit and diamonds. And shit,
like you don't even know what you're looking
metal
at.
just attracted to her body or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it altogether though, and I don't really like that wrinkly look.
The sash around her body, yeah.
Yeah, the sash around her body, OD killed it. You feel me? I'm wondering if it can drop down like a dress.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you
get longer.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you could drop it down like a dress, but she need to take that circle shit off. But she herself looks beautiful though.
Yeah.
She looks good.
She look good.
Her makeup is hitting. Her makeup artist did the thing, and her hair is lit. Mm-hmm. It fits her. If everything fits, you know what I'm saying? But the dress itself, nah. What they saying? ASAP, a fashion killer. Love her though. Of course, we love Rihanna. Yeah, the sash shit is what's killing the fit. Look at her face. She don't even like it. I see why you say that. She don't look too happy. She knows she looks stupid. You know what I mean? That shit probably cost mad money though.
Yeah.
Nest. It looked like a bird nest, Big Brooklyn. The inspiration is an oyster. Now that's fucking funny. This bitch looks like an oyster. I can't not see it now. I can't unsee the oyster, bro. She's a fucking oyster, bro.
That's nasty.
Squeeze lemon on this bitch. It's crazy. All right, let's see what we got next, because y'all roasting my girl too much now.
Drop.
Tiana Taylor.
Drop.
Damn! Why?
It's just... She look... Nah, I don't know.
Don Truth said scared me.
She's like one of them shits from Cat in a Hat.
What is she doing?
Like, what is she doing,
He
bro?
said she looked like what? He said she.
I'm lying though.
Nah, she looked like a female Chewbacca. Is you? Yo, Ooga Booga looking ass. Oh my God, she tried it, but I can't. She looked like an old Grinch. Facts. She looked like an old Grinch.
I don't like that. Maybe if it was all black,
My nigga
probably would
said,
have pulled it over.
my nigga
all
said
white.
dust in the wind.
Oh nah, yeah, she like a broomstick, like some shit like that.
She looked like an old mop.
That ass, an old fucking mop, son. Look at the floor, son. She was mopping the floor. Nigga,
Oh
look at that
God,
shit.
why y'all going in like that?
And the background just throws it
Why
off.
are
Like,
y'all going in like that? Is crazy.
abominable snowman. I'm crying.
Oh shit. Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure when niggas wanted to mop, niggas looked at her like, yo,
Yo,
what's
like
up?
yeah, it's crazy. But Kitty said she thinks she cute too. Yo, she thinks she killing it right now.
Yeah, like, and then
She
got
thinks she killing
got
it right
shit,
now.
The shit on the top with the hoodie, like, I don't like that shit.
He said Yeti abominable snowman try Tiana.
Don't get me wrong, she cute, but
No,
not in the
she's
outfit.
fire.
Yeah.
No, I love me some Tiana. That's my girl.
Yeah.
She's fire. Ain't no hate on Tiana, but this fit, nah,
Yeah, it's not it.
nah, that's 100% drop. He said your senior cousin yo y'all, yo y'all stupid.
He said, I promise you. She
Senior
said,
cousin
promise you, if she was gonna dance
Oh
to
God,
the song Thriller, everything
that's
moving,
funny.
every single
Stu,
mop
that's
strand.
funny. What he said?
Nah, they were saying if she was in Thriller and she was dancing, every little string would be moving,
Yep.
be vibrating. Yeah, she looked like a Christmas ornament. Funny shit.
Yo, y'all are killing me right now. Oh my God.
Yeah, I say drop. What you say?
That's nigga. It's a drop, nigga. I love her though.
Yeah.
I love her.
I mean, I don't know what she did to Iman, but Iman Shumpert, but I mean, drop,
So-
drop.
Let's cook. Let's cook real
I'm
quick.
not seeing the vision.
Yeah.
Got the little cheetah print up top. Nah. It's giving like Game of Thrones, but nah,
Oh, God.
he didn't know.
Game of Thrones with rhinestones on it is
he gotta,
crazy.
like have like a better posture. I don't know. I don't like that.
Oh
It's
God!
too
Before I even
draggy.
read chat, let me turn on this fan real quick. Yo, this is hilarious. Y'all are killing me right now, man. Bro said drop before I even looked up. Chat.
Oh damn, nigga, don't make this shit too loud.
Oh my
Is
God.
it loud, chat? You wanna turn it down one?
I think we're good. Chat, we're good, right? You can still hear us, right? Everybody, drop, bye.
There's no background in the back. It's all black in the background.
What do you mean? Oh yes, yeah. As long as they can see, it's good. Yo, everybody, nobody say drip. You said first day of school, mom dressed him and make him pose.
I feel like no offense. I just feel like that woman that dress is for a woman. Really, it's not really.
Oh God.
It's not gonna fit for a man. I feel
Yeah,
like a
my
woman
call
looks
of the
like
night.
this.
Oh my God, my boy not crushing. He said he's a whole soul reaper. Yo, why y'all
Yeah.
killing me right now?
Who is that? You know who that is? or no?
Sombra, I don't know who the fuck Sombra is. Yo. Oh God. All right, let's
He's a
continue.
Shinigami. I'm dead.
You said what?
He's a Shinigami from Bleach.
He's a Shinigami. Yo, y'all are.
They do be wearing shit like that. I ain't gonna lie.
Yo, I don't know what the inspiration is though. I
Gotta
don't
be
see.
some
I don't see the
kinda-
vision. I don't see the vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some kind of sun god.
I don't.
most likely. What? It gotta be.
My nigga, that nigga's the wizard in training, son.
Yeah, no funny shit.
Why y'all fucking with me like this today? Whew. All right. Yeah.
He beat the boss.
Yo, Galaxy, I don't know if there was a vision for this. I don't know. He just said throw it on there. They said Cape, he said yes. You know what I mean? Oh God. All right, let's move on. Y'all killing me. Emma Chamberlain. What y'all think now? I thought this was an interesting one. What y'all say, chat? What y'all say on this one? He said he got that Ken
I like the
drip.
swag.
One shade drop, one shade drip.
I like the dress, but I don't really like her how she. I don't know. I feel like she wasn't the right person for the dress, in my opinion.
Yo, why they wildin'? So my nigga say Big Bird on Ozempic.
Good. Feel like a peacock
Yeah,
bird.
y'all bugging. Big Bird on Ozempic,
I feel like the dress is fire, like a little hand part that's coming down. That's tough, but like
It's a
I feel like
Big
she
Bird
not-
puke.
I feel like
Why
she not
y'all going in like
she not
that?
fit for the dress. It was like a Zoe Kravitz or somebody like that.
I'm a honestly say drip.
Drip.
I like the dress.
I like the dress, but I don't like her on it.
I kind of feel you on that. Where like I feel like somebody else could have did better.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna overall say drip.
that hand part is tough though. I ain't gonna lie how the hand
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
down.
I like it.
That's hard.
I
can't
like it.
front.
I'm not gonna go back on my word. I like it. I think the dress could have been done better with somebody else in it. But you know what? It's sleek on her, form fitting. You know what I'm saying?
Zoe would have killed this, Dawn. Trust. Like I feel like she would have killed this. It would have been more. I don't
Nah,
know,
but I like the dress though. I do like the fit. I don't dislike the fit. Dress fire, wrong person. Nutty Duddy say dress fire, wrong. I could almost agree with that. The dress is fire. I like it. I see the vision. It's not like the last nigga.
Yeah.
I see the vision. This is like you said, the arm piece.
That shit's tough.
Shit's
man.
tough. I can't go back on it. I think this is a drip.
Did Big Bird puke? What happened?
Shit, you look like she threw up a whole can of paint from the Pride Parade. I got concussion in
It's giving like
in
earthy
this and thought I seen a
vibes,
dress.
You know what I'm saying? Earthy
I like
kind
it.
of vibes.
I like it. I'm gonna say drip. What you got?
I say drip.
Chat. What we got? Drip or drop? What they say? Drip, drip, drop. I think we got more drip than drop. I think she passed the vibe check, yo.
Yeah.
Drip or drop?
I mean, it's simple.
I'm gonna say drip. It's just simple. Can't go
Jay-Z
wrong.
was-
You played it safe. You know what I'm saying?
Jay-Z did like one of them sad dogs.
With the long face.
Yeah,
With the
the
I know what you're
droopy
talking
face,
about. Yeah,
right?
the droopy face. I'm gonna say drip though. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah,
You can't go
with a
wrong
suit.
with that. You know what I'm saying? Nothing crazy. It fits. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's a drip. Yeah, I agree with you, Big Broken. Safe and classic. You know what I'm
I mean, you
saying?
see what they did when he wore pink? They was criticizing him for wearing pink,
Oh, Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Who was criticizing for wearing pink?
like reporters and stuff like that.
Because they're stupid, that's why.
Because I think he was like, I think he said this is suave or something like that.
Baldoni said drip.
But
Okay.
you know why they said that though, right?
Why?
Because in one of his songs, he was like, "Real men don't wear pink" or something like that.
Okay,
so
well,
he went back on
I
his
mean,
word.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So I think he kept it more simple now. ASAP wore pink. I mean, yeah. That's
Okay, so
A$AP.
we all say drip.
Oh, Mauve. Yeah, that's what he said. He said it's Mauve.
Murdered. Murdered.
I don't like ASAP though.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what you like. That's murderations right there. I would wear that. That's some shit that I would wear. Just like that. You not telling me that's drop, bro. You not telling me that's drop, bro. That
It's
nigga is
drip,
killing
bro.
that shit. That's drip times 2, nigga. That's murder. Murder.
It's simple though. It's just a nigga with a pink jacket on. And
It's
he's not wearing the jacket. He
Murder.
on some Marine shit.
murder. I don't care what you tell me. That's murder.
So you saying that thing? So what's making it murder? The pink, him holding the apple shit, or what's
All that. Everything, nigga.
Everything in
Everything's
combination?
lit, nigga.
Okay. So without the jewelry, you would still like it.
Yep.
So what if
That
the suit-
jacket is super tough, nigga.
so
Simple
what if the suit
fit
was
under
black?
a tough jacket.
Okay.
Killing it, son. The jewelry just
I feel like it's basic in my opinion.
nah. That's drip. That's super drip. He wore the fuck out of that. Yup. The apple. Yup. What else you got to say? Yup. He killed it. Yup. Murdered. Yup. Drip. Yup. All that. The trench coat is fire, bro. That
Because
coat is stupid.
Because it's pink, yeah. But
So
if it was any other color like black, you would still be saying that.
The
It'll be
outfit was
plain.
still-
It'll be a plain fit, right?
it would still be drip. It would still be drip.
That's
That's basically what Jay-Z had on.
He kept it safe. He kept it safe. I can
Jay-Z
say
kept
that.
it safer because he had no colors.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? He got more accessories. That apple is killer, man. That picture is crazy. I'm not even an ASAP fan like that. Yeah, though, but the fit killed it. He was one of my favorites from the night.
See, not yet. Red would have been a fucking standout. Oh my god, red would have been
No.
tough.
But I think that red is also a regular color too nowadays.
Yeah.
Red is not like pink and red is on the same level of standout. It's how you wear it. You know what I'm saying? He went pink for his little girl.
It's just a cornball to me. That's it.
I listen. I'm not arguing none of that. I'm talking about, but this fit though.
Yeah, but he.
Listen, pink is universally flattering color because everyone has pink parts. I fucks with pink. I wear pink. I wear.
Yeah, I
pink.
like pink. I wear all colors.
Yeah, we all. Yeah.
You got yellow on. I like yellow.
Drip all the way. I think this is a clear drip.
I don't know who you're gonna bring up next. I know you're talking about the dude.
I was curious about this one. I don't know what y'all gonna say about this one.
I don't like the that's a pant. Is that a dress or is that like pants with like a coat? Coattails on
Why
there.
is he doing this? Oh, because you're person.
Is that pants with coattails or that like
I don't know.
dress?
Is that attached to the jacket? What's going on here? What y'all think about this one, chat? Drip or drop? Patrick Schwarzenegger.
Like he looked like the nigga who worked for the mom, like the waiter. Works
Hold
for the
on
mom.
now. Nutty say drop. Big Brooklyn say drop. Stu say drip. Only half him made it out the Matrix. His face card declined. Full Metal Alchemist drip. Like Future 007.
So he looks
drop.
like be Alfred's father.
Drop. I low-key like it, but I don't know if that
I don't like the
side
dress
piece.
part.
Yeah, that's the part throwing me off.
Nah, if it was like coattails with like clear pants.
Right.
then yeah.
Right.
But I think it's like supposed to be like together. I can't really see.
It's low-key kind of drippy though. With something
He's tall
throwing
as
it
hell
off.
too. He's tall as fuck.
It got some drip to it. But I'm going to officially have to say drop.
No, it is because look, the jacket goes all the way down. It is one of those dress type shits.
That's what I'm saying. I'm officially have to go say drop because the components of it that I don't like, I would never wear. You get what I'm saying?
Now, if it was like a regular pants and like a shorter
Yeah.
thing with the jacket, that would have been fire.
would've
I ain't
been
gonna lie. That would
fire.
have
That
been
would've
like
been fire.
some Virgil type Dante vibe. He giving me just a feminine butler.
Right. That's what you're saying.
You already know,
Yo,
man.
We were talking about that earlier, Brooklyn Jeff. We was talking about that earlier.
It's allowed some Liza P shit. I mean, I feel like it's.
That is definitely some Liza P shit.
He got the cane going.
That is definite. Give him the hat, Liza P, nigga.
Nah, my boy don't wear no dresses.
Nah, I feel you, but the look overall though, that's a Liza P look. You get what I'm saying?
What's good, fam?
All right, so overall we say drop. I say drop because just the part that throws it off is just too much.
Yeah.
But overall, the fit itself, it could pass. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go drop. What do you go? Drop. That too. The crop top jacket, I can't. It's too high up. The crop top jacket is crazy. It is a crop top galaxy. It is. You see how high?
I actually like the crop top.
Huh?
I like the crop top jacket. I like the leather.
The crop top jacket is kind of fugazi.
Is making him look feminine, or is
That's a belly skin jacket, bro.
I don't like the long part of the jacket. That's
This
the
piece
part I
right
like.
here?
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
That's the part I don't like. If it had stopped by the waist,
Yeah, I'm saying.
if it had stopped by the waist, murder.
like a nice little belt,
Murder.
or something like
Murder. Even without the belt, because it looked like it goes all the way up. You see what I'm saying? There's no break right here. It looks like a jumper kind of thing.
that.
You see what I'm saying? This is one straight unit.
Future trunks.
All right, let's move on.
What she said? I mean, yeah, I would. I ain't gonna front.
What y'all got? Lex Luthor from the last Superman movie.
I would go crop top.
Nicholas
jacket.
Holt.
Basic. Safe.
I don't do leather pants. I'm gonna be honest with you though. That's the only thing throwing me off is the leather pants.
Nah, I feel like I feel like he's good. I feel like he's safe in my book.
I'm gonna say drop. The leather pants I can't do it. It's not a bad fit though.
I don't like the belt. He would have been like a Versace belt, Gucci
I like
belt.
the belt. I think the belt's fine. The belt cuts the outfit.
Yeah, but it's gotta be a better stylish belt. Like
I think the belt's fine. That's a bit of a classy cut of a belt. I like the belt.
kind of like a brownish. I don't like
I don't dislike the outfit. I just can't go with leather pants on dudes.
I'm dead.
What he said?
I ain't gonna lie. I wore leather pants in high school, like the leather sweats that they came out with. Them shits was hard.
I don't do leather pants on men. I don't think it's
leather. You don't know leather at all? No, I never
Leather
seen you wear
jacket.
leather in my life.
I got a leather jacket.
Oh, you do it like a biker jacket?
Similar looking to that.
I never seen you rock it. Okay. With the pants, nah, you ain't changed.
Nah, I can't do the leather pants, yo.
Who is this? Nicholas Holt?
Nicholas Holt. He played the Lex Luthor in the last Superman movie.
Oh, this dude?
Yeah.
Oh, he kind of swagging it out. Okay. Okay.
Nah, they know who he is. Now he's dragging it out.
Yeah, I ain't know he had swag like that. I say drip.
I don't deny that. I just cannot.
All right, he is also beast.
All right, look, I'm gonna say drip because I don't want to hate because I do like the fit, but I wouldn't wear those pants with it.
So what if it was baggy and leather pants? Then what?
It's not
Would you
the
like
I think the fit of the pants is fine. It's
So
not
like
tight.
those-
It's not too roomy.
So like the
It's-
leather.
I just don't like the leather, but I'm gonna say drip because I don't want to just, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Men are so fickle. He's got it on a whole 5 pants. It's like a puffer
Men are
pants.
fickle. How we fickle?
Yeah, it's like a puffer pants. Yeah, Kitty, it is kind of like a puffer pants. And I don't mind that puffer look either. I kind of like that.
I wish it was a little bit baggier, but I mean,
I think it's baggy enough.
nah, I feel like it's a little bit too tight down there.
I
but
don't think
mean,
so. That looks roomy
I
to
gotta see
me.
his shoes. If he has some nice shoes on,
But all you need right there to finish that look,
some black leather shoes,
Chelsea boots.
nah,
What you mean?
I feel like that'll change the whole.
Nah,
dynamic
you
of
need
the
some
fit.
Chelsea boots.
They
with
go
that.
from classic to like
Nah,
emo or something like
nah,
that.
no, hell no.
Grunge.
You know what Chelsea boots are?
Yeah, the black little silky boots.
They got different types.
Maybe some Clarks, some all black Clarks,
You could go
some
Clarks.
all black suede Clarks. Nigga.
I got some Chelsea boots that will murder with that. You feel me?
I shouldn't be too shiny.
Nah, it ain't too shiny. It's shiny enough, nigga.
Look at the holes on his belt. Yeah, I don't like the belt.
I like the belt.
Could have been like a nice little white Gucci belt, or
White
Versace,
white
Louis
belt
Vuitton.
with that fit.
No,
Nah,
not white. I mean like a off white, like a gray, dark gray.
I think that color's fine.
Nah, that belt is too like.
It splits the fit.
Yeah,
It
but
breaks
like-
the black at the bottom and the black at the top. I
That's
see
an
what they
average
did.
size belt. You need like a designer belt.
But
Not
it's an
saying you
average
designer,
fit.
though.
It's an average fit. You don't know if it's an average belt. That belt like costs
Boom, it could have been.
$500.
It could have been matching the little corset he got on his tie. Could have been like a nice little red or whatever.
All right, that I might agree with.
Mhm.
Okay, that one I agree with. If you had a more reddish color belt,
Yeah,
to
that
go
would've
with
been
the thing.
tough.
All right, I agree with you on that. But they also wanted to cement in that bluish shirt he was wearing too. It's a muted color
I had
fit.
to poke a hole in it with a screwdriver and hammer. I'm dead.
It's a muted kind of look. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
He kept it clean.
I'm gonna give him the drip on that.
How old is he? Bowling already? Shit.
Hey, I don't know. Starts early for some niggas. I'm gonna give him the drip on that.
I seen this one. I ain't like it.
You ain't like it?
I ain't like it. I seen it. I did not like it at all. He gave me like Alice in the Wonderland. Too many colors.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I ain't like it. Mom, he could dress too, but this fit is not
Nutty, you said drip? Oh, you said drop. Okay. Stu said, "Oh hell nah."
Mom,
Bye.
the Michael
What
Jackson
in the
movie?
He said what? She said what in the Rubik's cube?
The Michael
That
Jackson
is-
movie played the hell out of the father. In the Michael
Oh, he's
Jackson
a
movie.
great actor.
But this fit, no.
I'm gonna say
No,
drop.
no.
It's definitely
no,
a drop.
No. Now, if it was like black and red, kind of like
Nah,
The
it's
black and red going down, solid black?
It's a nasty fit.
it's too much colors.
It's a nasty fit.
It's giving like more like it's for a woman, you know. In a
It's
way.
a
like,
nasty. I don't like them pants either.
Nah, I like the pants. I don't like the top. The top
Them-
is nasty.
Them pants is. I don't like. You see, look at
Checkerboard.
the red, right? It got some shiny to it.
Yeah, but I'm saying that
I don't do shiny on men.
Boom, look, it could have been matching the jacket.
Nah,
though.
I don't do shiny glittery shit, bro. I
You
don't
don't
do
like silk?
rhinestones.
You don't
I
like
don't.
silk?
Silk is not shiny.
No,
Look,
silk could be shiny.
but look at it. It got some glittery, sparkly to it. Look at the red.
Bro, that's how Mike Jackson, nigga, Michael Jackson wears some,
I
some
don't.
shit like
That's
that.
cool for him. I don't wear rhinestones, sparkles, glitter. I don't wear none of that shit.
Dead. So that means you can't wear no
That's
chains.
that's the nutcracker.
chains got diamonds on
Jewelry is
it.
not clothes.
It's accessories though. She wouldn't wear no type of diamonds or like
Jewelry
rhinestones
is
and
not
shit like
clothes. I mean clothes. I be seeing niggas got rhinestones on their shoes. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It looks like the background of the '90s school picture with the lasers.
What
All
you
right.
say, BK? BK Dragon?
BK Dragon, what's your take? Drip or drop?
This is a bad fit for me. Nah.
It looks like a '90s disco floor, 100%.
I think he's gay though, to be honest. I believe he's gay.
I think so. Yeah, I
believe
think
it's gay.
that's what it is. Drop. All right. Let's see what we got next.
That's my guy.
Murdered.
That's my guy. I like it.
Murdered.
I like it.
Fucking
I like it.
murdered.
I like it.
I got.
Damson. I like it.
That's a drip, nigga.
like it.
That's
He killed
drip,
it.
nigga.
He killed
He
it.
is murdering that fit right there.
Killed it.
He is murdering that fit right
Yeah, look
there.
at the jacket. It's like a cut off, like a kind of like.
Look, it got different colors.
Yeah, that's tough. My boy.
Look at from my view. It's the arm that he's holding the helmet in. Look at it, chat. It have a different little design on it than the other side.
Yeah.
Man, listen.
That's my boy right there too. I ain't gonna lie.
Drip, drip, drip.
With the red gloves. Oh my god.
Drip with the red glove. I like the pants too.
Yeah.
He got that little bell bottom look going on.
Mm-hmm. I went to the bathroom real quick.
That helmet is tough. You see, I don't mind the glittery shit on the helmet because it's not clothes. But I don't really like too much sparkly glitter. And look, this right here, this little piece right here. That right there, bow, murdered. Then the neck piece, murdered. Boy, murdering it right there. Confit, definitely drip. Nah, this shit lit. This shit lit. This shit turned the fuck up. I ain't gonna lie to you. This shit turned the fuck up. That's definitely a drip. I think that, let me see if that's the last one. All right, chat. Appreciate y'all for playing Drip or Drop. We haven't played Drip or Drop in a minute. It's been a minute since we played Drip or Drop. Well, we got more fun packed in for y'all. We're going to keep it short tonight because it's Mother's Day. But Ash ran to the little boy's room. Oh, here he go. Now I got to run. Talk to chat real quick, Ash. Yeah, that was the last of Drip or Drop.
All right.
Talk to chat, see what's on their mind.
What's up, chat? What's up? Turn this screen on a little bit. What's up, chat? What's up? I had to turn this fan down real quick. It's kind of, I don't know if it's kind of loud for y'all, but y'all let me know how it sound in the chat. To be honest, I sound okay. It could be loud, it could be better, or it's just okay. Bet. Okay, cool. So I feel like overall, them fits. I feel like they could have been better this year, but I mean, hey, people want to like expand their fashion every year. And at this point, I just feel like they going above and beyond, you know? Like fashion has to be like upgraded every year, so
Got it, 2 minutes?
yeah. Like I said, if I go to the Met Gala, I'll probably just have on all black, keep it safe.
All black.
So the Met Gala is a fundraiser for the New York City art museums. All the clothes and celebrities are paired before the hand. I figured that they don't really have much say in what they wear. I mean, it makes sense. It pretty much makes sense. But I mean, overall, I didn't really like the fits this year, but it is what it is. If I go out wear GK one-piece pants, what? I'm dead. You should have a very big say in what they got paid to wear them. Yeah. I mean, you know, designers just be trying to get their stuff off. But the person got to be able to, like, swag it out properly. Like, if the model's not swagging it out, it's not going to come out right. So, I don't know. So, I wonder what we got next, though. I'm not too sure what we got next, but once GK come back, we'll see what we got next up type shit, you know? How everybody day going, though? What y'all doing right now? Let me see what else is said. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm glad I got my glasses today because this shit is small as hell. Some of the stuff they tried to get off to be sat on inside the closet, I'm dead. Celebs pay 100K for the tickets. The designers chosen. Chilling, moving thing. Are you moving right now? Eating some leftovers. Okay. What kind of dessert was it? Everybody eating right now. Okay. Y'all making me hungry as hell. I'm fucking starving right now. Just got back from the Phillies game and they crushed it. Okay. What's that? Baseball? Just in the supermarket here stuff for Bobby. Okay, cool. Y'all gonna be in there all night. I already know. Oh, you moving stuff around? I'm not gonna lie. I feel like moving stuff around in a house is definitely change the scenery around. I like doing that as well. Same in the process of moving, getting my stuff together. Okay.
Who moving?
No, they moving stuff around in their
the
apartment.
crib?
I asked them what
Okay.
they was doing today.
Okay.
Some people eating, some people moving stuff around.
Well, listen.
CJ's at the supermarket right now.
Appreciate y'all for popping you a joke. Welcome in.
Damn.
Just like that. That's how he entered the room, son. Welcome in, Bigfoot.
Oh, it's a condensed milk flan with caramel syrup. I never had flan before, but I want to try it. I never had flan. Have you?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's really it's like sweet.
It's a treat.
Right?
It's a treat.
It was great, but it was with my girl's mom. Man, say my mom was out of town. Okay.
Woo. All right. So, boom.
Flan.
I got a little announcement for chat.
What?
There's a concept I'm coming up with, right?
Okay.
Let me know if you dig it. Chat, this is for y'all. What I want to do on Sundays now, because a lot of us, and I'm talking for us, not other Instagram, our TikTok and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So for those y'all in the chat and us too, you know, you make your content creator as well. What I want to do every Sunday now is you guys send me your clips, video game clips, your streaming clips, your IRL clips, whatever it is, and we'll watch a few of them on the Game Lounge every Sunday of us.
Okay.
This is I don't want clips of other people that we don't know.
Yeah.
That's viral and shit. We're talking about us.
Okay.
And we're gonna watch a few clips of us. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, your game clips, your whatever clips, your this clip, your content creating clips.
So we need.
And every Sunday we're gonna vote on clip of the day.
Okay.
We
So
think
you
about
into
that.
more funny, more dramatic.
Whatever it is, it could be your video
more
game,
shocking.
your video, whatever clip you got, but it got to be of us, of
Okay.
you, the content creator. You know what I'm saying? I want to see nothing to nobody else. You see what I'm saying?
You know why that's fire?
Why?
You know, I like that because then you're always gonna have some kind of content because people are always gonna submit. Like
That's
you're
what I'm
going for
saying.
everybody else's ideas. So
Right.
That's always good to have.
Right. So, game edits, IRL, etc. Yeah, Big Brooklyn. So I know Big Brooklyn be on TikTok with his clips. Dirty Dan be on TikTok with his clips. You on YouTube with your content creation.
Yeah.
All of y'all, we game, we make clips and stuff like that. So we'll run over a couple of them every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? And then the Game Lounge will vote with us in the chat of clip of the day.
Okay, and look at Coda said submissions in the May Mafia Discord, right?
Yes, there you go. Koza, tell them again how to pull up the Discord. Is Discord or whatever the case may be. Kozer's the one controlling the
Setting it
Discord
up.
end,
Okay.
right? So Kozer's gonna set up a link in the Discord just for that, just for the Game Lounge submissions every Sunday. You get what I'm saying? And then you guys just submit your links there, and we'll watch them every Sunday on the Game Lounge. and we'll vote on clip of the day, and we'll do it like
I
that.
know us as content creators, we work fucking hard on these clips.
That's what I'm
We
saying.
work really hard.
I'm connected with all of y'all on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. I see y'all put, we all in the same bubble and we all support each other. You know what I'm saying? We all like each other's clip. Bring it to the game lounge and let us see us.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? Let us see us.
That's a great
Let's us
idea.
vote on our shit.
Mhm.
And not niggas we don't know who's viral and shit. You get what I'm saying? Let's watch our shit, content creation, and then we're gonna do it like that. So me and Koza and obviously CJ and Ash, we're working on getting that set up for y'all, and then we're gonna do it like that. Remember, that's for us. That's for us. You feel me?
Game Lounge Discord is being brought to you by powered by Made Mafia. So shout out to Made Mafia.
Yes.
Shout out to Koza.
Yes, I know most of y'all who keep up with the Game Lounge and stuff, you guys know the Game Lounge Discord and Made Mafia merged into one. So Koza's the big man in charge of all of that. You feel what I'm saying? We're not one family. You get what I'm saying? So like I said before, I'm gonna say it again, Koza's gonna fix up that link to
Yo, what's up, BTA Gamer? What's up, man? How you doing?
Yo, what's up, BT? Where you guys can do your submissions, and we'll do, like I said, and I just want this to be a platform for us.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? I want to see what we doing. You see what I'm saying? Because we all, like I said, we all make our clips, we all do our little edits, and we all put it out there. So let's everybody watch us. You feel what I'm saying? You beat the game, you make a clip, send it, do a good combo, IRL, send it in. You know what I'm saying? Let's everybody watch it.
Okay. Happy Mother's Day to you and your moms.
Happy Mother's Day for your mother. And again, shout out to all the mothers in the room. Happy Mother's Day.
Facts.
I'm doing one now as we speak. That's what BK Dragon said.
You
Exactly.
doing a clip? Yeah,
doing
we work hard for
right
these clips,
now,
man.
you
These
feel
clips,
me?
man.
And I'm gonna be excited to see like what y'all got
When it's
going
going,
on.
yeah.
Let's everybody catch up.
Everybody's creative, man.
Everybody creative. I want to see it. You feel me? And like I said, we don't make fun out of it. We gonna make a thing out of it, and we all gonna vote on. You know what I'm saying? Clip of the day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you win clip of the day. Maybe eventually we'll start doing some kind of prize or you see what I'm saying? Doing some kind of extra shout outs as whatever. You feel me? And we're gonna make it work like that. So that's coming soon when me, Koza, Ash, CJ, and the whole family figure it out. But that's coming. When I mean soon, I mean the next 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
All right. Maybe that's something we'll launch at the top of next month.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Koza, can we get that done? Can we get everything set up so we could launch that off by the top of next month?
Nah,
So
CJ's in the hospital. He just had a whole baby.
No, CJ and
Xavius.
Monet at the beginning of the show, we had showed. Matter of fact, you want to show it again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's show it again. Let's show it again. We're gonna show y'all what we showed earlier. For those of y'all who didn't see,
CJ brought a future DJ, future football player, basketball player, streamer into the world. You know what I'm saying?
let's watch it again, y'all. I want everybody to see this. Congratulations to CJ and Monet. There we go, y'all. That's why CJ's not here right now. He with twin. He with his son. Josevius Jr. the third is here, y'all. Congratulations again. Show it again. That boy fresh.
Yep.
That boy fresh.
Fresh out the womb, man.
Fresh out the womb. There you go. There go the queen and the baby.
Mm-hmm. Man. That baby look grown, son.
Back to the game lounge.
Literally, he look like a grown man.
Back to the game lounge. Wide awake, right, my boy? Say hi. Ooh, bless you.
Bless you.
Oh, I didn't even hear that. That's crazy. Bless up, man.
Say hi to you. All the game lounge.
Blackbird say hi, nephew. That's all our nephew right there. Game Lounge family.
You good, you
That's
good.
all our nephew right
You good?
there.
You good, BTA gamer?
You good, BT?
Caught you right up.
They call you CJ.
That's nephew. That's all our nephew right there. Game Lounge.
Make sure his nervous system working well. He's sneezing correctly. He good. You
Yeah,
know what
he
I'm saying?
good. That's all our nephew right there. Game Lounge. Come on now. Yes, sir.
Mhm.
That's why. So those of y'all who was asking why CJ's not here, that is why. He's with his newborn son, with the family and the queen and all that. That's why he's not here, chat. That's why he's. Let me clap it up one more time. You can't clap that up enough, man. You can't clap that up enough. Co-host of the Game Lounge and the Queen, man. We got nephew over here
Into
for
the
real.
Game Lounge.
First of all, nephew healthy, 10 fingers, 10 toes, all that. All that. We got
Eyes open,
eyes open, all that. You
niggas.
feel me? Yeah, he seen niggas. He seen niggas. Debut right here on the Game Line. We don't watch that boy grow for 9 months.
No funny shit.
Right here. Like, that's real shit. That's real family shit right there. Don't worry, I got another game for us to play. Something that's gonna make us.
What up, Cammy?
Yo,
What up,
Cammy, what's
Cam?
Cam player? What's up? Don't worry.
I'm good.
All right. So
Yeah. So BTA asked if you guys are merging into Discord servers.
yes, we already merged. Made Mafia and Game Lounge is already.
But
merged.
we have another game from BTA too.
Say what?
We have another game from BTA.
Something's up there.
You know what we could do too? I don't mean to bring this up right now, but you see how you were saying viewers could submit like submissions of their own clips.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can submit games. If they want to submit games, they can.
We could do that too.
Feel me? So
We
then
could
you
do that
have
too.
a multitude
And
of
we'll
ideas
have
from
a
other people.
section to do that.
Exactly. So
You know what I'm saying? Okay.
if y'all want to do that, if y'all feel like y'all want to do that, y'all can. Y'all can submit y'all games, stuff like that. New ideas. Don't be shy to, drop some suggestions in the Discord.
Facts.
Let us know what y'all want to do.
What?
Which one? To you?
No, that
I'm
one.
not turning this off. This is hot. This is cold.
There we go. Okay.
So if y'all have any ideas, don't be, some suggestions, whatever. Drop it in the Discord. I don't know if Cole's gonna be like a section to where you could be like suggestions and stuff like that. So that everybody could like have some suggestions.
Kitty said no.
What you mean no? I'm crying.
My God. All right, so we got another game that we're about to play. So let's get locked in. All right, chat. Let's lock in. Everyone that comes up, I got a question or a scenario. Okay? Let's lock in.
Put it on full screen, man. Pull it up. Okay, CJ the DJ. Stop talking to him.
No, I don't need any help, BT. Timing is everything. I don't need any help. What did he say? Not much dark said. Trying to catch up with chat, y'all.
MK2 last night came out. Word?
MK, yeah, the movie. Yeah, it's out. What do you think of the? What do you think of the movie? What do you think of the movie?
When is Street Fighter coming out?
What do you think? What do you think of the movie? Street Fighter's coming out in a few months later on.
Like what? Like September,
I forgot
October?
the month.
Why the fuck they taking so long? This is the perfect time to drop it.
They wait
in the summertime.
You can't drop it with MK right there though.
Oh yeah, they did say.
Slot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, wait.
Street Fighter's coming in October. Street Fighter's coming in October. Jeff said yes, it's great. BR, I appreciate you, Blackbird. Got you on the laptop. I appreciate you. That's the gang right there. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
That's gang right there.
I haven't seen you play with controller in a minute though.
Depends on the game I'm playing.
Oh yeah.
If I'm playing like shooters or adventure games or anything like that, use controller. You only use that mostly for fighting games. Speaking of that, my Ryu was cooking last night, son. Where Hollywood at? My Ryu.
What characters you made to master so far?
I'm trying to get Ryu up there now.
Who else you got to master?
That's it. Only Guile.
Damn, guy, no Kimberly yet?
Kimberly
the main character?
Yo, bro, listen to what I'm saying, bro. Kimberly was supposed to be the first one. She was the first one projected. Guile just said, nah, I'm good.
Your Guile made it? That's crazy.
Guile made it before Kimberly, bro.
Wow.
That don't make no sense, bro. Everybody that knows me admit that Kimberly's your most combo-capable character.
Mm-hmm.
Guile just got that defense that's locked in, nigga.
So what's with Kimberly you can't just get?
I don't know what it is, bro.
I think it's maybe
Even
Kimberly.
Mariah's
Guile is
getting
more
raped.
safe than Kimberly
He's
as far as his
Guile is
as far
his
as his
defense.
his negatives. and
His
stuff like
defense is
that.
crazy. All right, chat.
What's this?
Here's the question,
So they
chat.
both is bad.
Say that again.
They both were bad.
Right. What's the worst one? Which one of these movies was worse?
Green Lantern, I would say.
I'm gonna go Ghost Rider.
And Nicolas Cage, he did not.
I'm gonna say Ghost Rider. That movie was a piece of shit. There's almost no redeemable quality in Ghost Rider. You could almost watch the Green Lantern.
Yeah, because Ryan Reynolds is a good actor, but I don't like Nicolas Cage. Yeah. So what's the worst movie of all? So what's the worst movie then?
Out of these two?
Yeah. What they saying? That's the game, right? What's the worst
Papa
movie?
Chop said Green Lantern. Kitty said Green Lantern.
They saying what's worse,
Brooklyn
right?
Jeff said Green Lantern. Damn, everybody said Green. What's worse? Nah. Ghost Rider's worse, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna get off that. I'm not getting off that. Ghost Rider's worse.
I never liked Ghost Rider anyway. He's not a character I really like, in my opinion.
Ghost Rider's definitely worse. Thank you, Big Brooklyn. Ghost Rider's definitely worse, bro. Kitty said, fuck out of here. She mad as fuck.
Kitty. Chill,
Kitty
chill.
mad. I ain't seen Kitty this mad in a minute.
There's no right or wrong answer. No right or wrong answer.
She about to toss the niggas out the room,
Yeah.
son. I gotta say, Ghost Rider is worse. I'm sorry. It's a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit.
It's Ryan Reynolds though. I like Ryan Reynolds, so I'll say
Bro,
Ghost
I
Rider.
actually listen. Unpopular opinion. I don't think that fucking Green Lantern was as bad as people say, bro.
I watched it more than one time. I didn't watch.
I don't think that shit is as bad as people say. Green Lantern is not as bad as people say. Is it good? No. Is it aight? It's aight. It's aight. That's all I'm saying. It's aight. Ghost Rider is not even nowhere near aight. It's just horrible.
Kitty, both of them are bad, so there's no really right or wrong answer. Both of them are terrible.
Even Ryan Reynolds said it's awful. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of actors don't like these
Ghost
movies.
Rider 2 ain't do no better. Is all I'm saying.
I watched the movie one time, bro. I don't like Ghost Rider like that. I'm not a fan of Ghost Rider. I'm gonna be honest.
If the act, man, fuck that. I'm talking about for me. For me. I don't think that movie deserved all the flack that it got. I'm just saying. Is it good? No. Is it better than Ghost Rider? Fuck yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't like Ghost Rider.
Fuck yeah, it is. So most people voted for Green Lantern, though. All right. Big Brooklyn said Green Lantern is cool to watch on Titans or TBS, but Ghost Rider. But that's what I'm saying.
I feel like Nicolas Cage is a boring actor to me. He's boring.
Papa 254 says straight dunk. But what I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. If you was to ask me right now which one I would put on and somewhat be entertained watching, it'd be Green Lantern.
Yeah.
There's nothing good over. I'm sorry. They botched that movie. All right. So, all right. All right. Y'all know who these two are, right? That's Scar from Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
That's Shere Khan from Jungle Book.
I don't remember him.
You don't know Shere Khan.
I don't really remember. He was an asshole.
This
right?
I was thinking about this when I was making it. Would everybody necessarily be too familiar with Shere Khan? Scar is the better villain. Two of the coolest villains. I'm not necessarily asking who's the better villain. Scar's gonna easily win that. My question is, who's more of a diabolical villain?
I mean, Scar killed his brother. So.
Who's really more evil out of the both of them?
Scar.
Who's more fits like a villain? Who's more like? You get what I'm saying?
Scar. Nigga actually killed somebody.
That's definitely a fact.
I don't know what this nigga did.
No, that's definitely that nigga said.
He took
he killed that nigga. He killed that nigga. And you tried to kill your nephew too.
Right, he was wilding with that.
Scar. CJ said, "I know Khans." And Scar.
What's his name?
And Scar is more villain.
What did he do? The tiger.
The tiger. He's always trying to kill the kid.
He's just more like a
He's the opposition in the jungle. He's the big baddie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you don't want to
like-
go over there. That nigga's not nice.
Oh, okay.
He will eat you. You feel me?
Okay.
Papa Chomp says Shere Khan. You know what, Papa Chomp? Type in some reasons. Type in some reasons. Because he said Shere Khan. I thought this was interesting. He said Shere Khan, and I want to know
Yeah,
why.
he said I don't think it gets more diabolical than playing and killing your brother, right? You killed
He
your
said,
own
he
family.
said definitely Scar has no heart even
the
for
nigga
family.
killed somebody. Like that's like beyond.
Don't Khan kill people? But isn't Shere Khan a man eater? Like isn't he a man killer? Am I wrong, Chad? Isn't he known to be a man killer?
I feel like he was more like this, like deceiving, right? He was more like a deceiving kind of guy. Like Scar actually put his actions and executed it. Nigga killed his brother.
Kitty said, wait, hold on. This is getting interesting now. Hold on now. CJ said, Khan was just hungry as a tiger, but Scar wanted to dominate in order to take over the kingdom. That's just a lion's life, though. You know Scar was supposed to be king. Right. Right. Scar was really supposed to be king.
Yeah.
Mufasa took his place.
I mean, it's always
Give
gonna be
reasons for his hate.
Right. Why would he think he'll be king though? It's always the heir.
He says Scar killed his own brother. That's not crazy. That is crazy, Big Brooklyn. Oh, this is getting good. Hold on, let's see what Papa John said. Yeah, but Scar, that's what Big Brooklyn said. Babylon said, I wonder what was Scar's name before he got the scar.
I think it was black too.
Mufasa was
He was
adopted.
a
Yeah,
black
that's true.
man.
Mufasa was his adopted brother. That's why he don't look like Scar.
Mm.
Mufasa was his adopted brother. He took his place as the top dog. If it wasn't for Mufasa, Scar would have been king.
Mm.
And then you went and had Simba, which made it impossible for him to be king. And now
Yeah.
Simba's gonna be king. So he had to get rid of both you niggas.
Right.
Here go this. Realistically, in a real lion's life, Scar was supposed to kill Simba. He let him go.
Mm.
That's mercy. Got rid of Mufasa. Simba was food.
Right.
He let him go. He said, just go and don't come back, basically. Run away. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, that's Disney's
That's
version.
mercy, though.
That's Disney's version.
But I mean, we got to go with what we
yeah,
got.
he would have definitely killed them. They usually fight for the throne.
But that's what I'm saying. But we got to go with what we got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, though. But he showed him mercy.
Mm-hmm.
So does that wager in the debate?
Nigga, he's still the most diabolical. He killed the nigga. He thought about his plan. He did it.
Papa Chomp said Shere Khan is more like a
And he
Lex
actually
Luthor
became
type.
king, and they made like a tyranny too. So like he was wilding. Like he made it to where like wasn't he like
He fucked up Pride Rock.
wasn't he like thirsty or something like that?
Nah,
Like
he
they,
fucked it up. They
Yeah, he
overhunted.
yeah.
They killed the land. All that shit.
He actually fucked his whole community up. Like
Said Scar thought he was dead. Yeah, he didn't think Simba was coming back. He thought he was dead. You didn't think a baby lion was gonna survive out. You know what I'm saying? He basically sent him to go. You know what I mean? Didn't Scar think he was dead because he sent hyenas to kill him after the stampede? Are we talking about Simba? Did he send the hyenas to go get him?
Champ says Shere Khan is more like a Lex Luthor type.
Yeah, yeah.
He more like a cynical, like try to trick you, deceive you.
He will eat you though. Oh, no shit. Don't fuck around. There's a reason why he's the big baddie in the jungle. You know what I'm saying? Didn't Shere Khan and Baloo fight to save Mowgli?
I don't remember Jungle Book.
I think Baloo lost to Shere Khan. If I'm correct. They told Scar they killed him. Yeah, because they couldn't find him. So then that proves it right.
Brooklyn said Khan is a corporate thug and Scar's a street nigga.
Hey,
What do you know?
So y'all go with Scar?
I say Scar too.
I'm gonna go with Scar. He got bodies.
Yeah, he do.
He got
multiple
bodies. And you put a hit out on your nephew compared to what they saying.
Mm-hmm.
He sent niggas to go murk that nigga. You feel me? All right, so boom, Scar wins. All right. So we got Killmonger, and we got the Goblin from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Right? My question is, which actor landed the part better? Who brought that real villain to life better?
Yeah,
Who played that role better? I'm not saying what was a better movie. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Who brought these villains to life better? You feel me?
That's a hard one.
Oh my god.
I'll probably say Green Goblin.
What you mean? Fuck you, GK.
But Michael B. Jordan, he needed therapy after that role. You know that, right?
I didn't know that.
Because the role he was very deeply
Realistic.
impacted to the role. He needed therapy after because it affected his mind. So I feel like that plays a part. Then again, Green Goblin is like, that nigga is...
I'm not gonna lie to you. William Dafoe's Green Goblin is not ever getting better than that.
Yeah.
He brought the Green Goblin to actual life, bro. Like top tier
It's a
acting.
bad matchup though.
Top tier acting, bro.
Maybe it was like Doc Ock and Green Goblin. That would have been harder.
You think so?
Yeah, Doc Ock and Green Goblin. That would have been tough.
So we can still talk about it.
Yeah.
So out of these two, where we going? I'm going Goblin.
Green Goblin.
I think there's nothing to change.
I think it actually made him crazy though, to be honest.
There's nothing to change.
Yeah.
Dude did this shit perfect.
Right.
William Dafoe did it. Yo, facts. Green Goblin for sure. Don't get it twisted. Michael B. Jordan murdered that Killmonger.
Yeah,
role.
Killmonger.
He murdered that shit. But as per bringing the actual villainous character to life, William Dafoe, bro. William fucking Dafoe, bro. Even as out of the suit, his real acting, was fucking crazy.
He just looks crazy.
Yeah, bro.
He looks crazy.
Yeah, bro.
He looks cynical.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he still murdered the role. Still brought that same goblin back. They changed. Papa Chomp said they changed the way they portrayed Green Goblin because of him, and I see that. He's now the main focus look of what Green Goblin is. You know what I'm saying? Because of this portrayal right here.
Yeah.
This shit was beautiful, bro. Like
it was
top tier, bro. Top fucking tier, bro. All right, so that everybody vote Goblin.
Yep. I'm dead.
I think this is interesting. This is a little different question. In a versus match, who y'all got?
Between verses.
They fighting. All their geniuses, whatever they got in their bag, that's what they bring.
I mean, Dr. Eggman is way smarter than him. Way smarter, but Bowser's just a brute. He might just burn him alive.
Here's what I'm gonna tell you why Eggman got the advantage.
Remember, we saw Dr. Eggman's his convictions when I brought him up to the trial.
Eggman makes machinery and technology to keep up with a super being like Sonic.
Yeah.
He gets beat by Mario. That's a human.
But physical wise, obviously Bowser. But
physical wise, Bowser. Yeah. But what Eggman is bringing to the table, Bowser ain't got nothing for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bowser ain't got nothing for that. Bowser going down. I'm going Eggman all the way.
I mean, Bowser bring him alive.
Eggman, she even Papa Chomp. Eggman all the way. Eggman makes machines that keep up with light speed Sonic, bro. Let's put that shit in perspective. He gets beat by what? Here's what I'm saying. He gets beat by a plumber.
Yeah.
Sonic beats the plumber that's fighting this guy. He outscales him. Just off the top, coming into the battle, he outscales him.
Yeah, but you're talking about a regular man versus a fucking animal. So we talking about
physical. Yeah, but this animal loses to a regular man.
But
which is Mario.
A physical hand-on-hand fight.
Yeah, I said whatever you come with your bag, he comes with his genius.
I mean, he got to be prepping though. If it's like you just run into him, Eggman might get smoked.
Eggman don't never not have his machines with him.
But Bowser could burn this nigga alive though.
I don't know, man. This nigga's always prepared for Sonic. I think he's prepared for Bowser. Robotnik, Eggman, Bowser. He'll turn Bowser into.
Y'all just he said he'll turn
Bowser into a machine. Come on now.
But y'all run into him in the jungle. Bowser is basically a fucking big ass dragon. He's gonna murder you unless you're prepared to fight him.
Yeah, but Eggman would never be in the jungle by himself. Way too smart. Way too smart. Way too smart.
We talking about if it's a prep fight, okay, yeah, Eggman got it. But if it's like a random rundown, I say Bowser.
Eggman will win for sure. I thought this was an interesting one. Okay.
Yeah, because you said battle with smarts. Now, if it's physical, Eggman can't fight.
Yeah, but it's the same thing as Eggman versus Sonic. Sonic is the physical. It's faster,
Yeah,
stronger.
but they never really doing hands on hands.
That's what I'm saying. That's what Eggman's already prepared for. To deal with people that's above
Yeah, we're
his
talking
level.
about no prep time for Bowser. No prep time.
But
who?
Eggman comes with his machineries. Period. That's what he
Nah,
comes
you can
with.
catch him lacking.
When? I've never seen Eggman
Without
not
his
surrounded by
machinery.
his fortress and a bunch of machines.
When he with his shorty lacking.
Nah, ain't no
Lacking, nigga, when he just not on time and
Eggman cracking cheeks.
yeah, somebody. I think niggas.
That's my point. 420. Sonic would destroy Mario, and Bowser gets beat by Mario. That's my point.
You
Sonic,
can't say that, Brooklyn. That's kind of like the Batman ploy. Like he's always prepared.
Eggman is all, but he is though.
You can't always be prepared. That's not.
Eggman is always prepared type shit. Man's just genius on the level Bowser. But this genius level is out of this world, bro. This nigga make cosmic type shit, bro. 9 based on recent highly regarded and updated 2024 analysis, Bowser would likely defeat Dr. Eggman in a battle, while Eggman possesses superior intelligence and faster technology like the Time Eater. Bowser's superior physical strength, insane durability, magical versatility, and ability to survive being destroyed I don't agree with that.
No, because it's physical. Obviously, if you run into a fucking...
You don't have to destroy him to defeat him. You can get rid of him.
An 8 feet tall dragon that breathe fire, you're gonna die.
Right, but Mario does it.
Mario is a superpower being.
He's not.
That nigga eats mushrooms.
He's not a superpower being. He's a normal guy.
No.
Mario's a normal guy.
There's a reason why he beats him. He has a star, and he has a superpower.
That's why. He gets beat by 2 regular plumbers.
Yeah, but Mario has help, obviously. He has the mushrooms, the star, turtle shells, whatever. He's not just doing it physical hand on hand.
Yeah, but you're going to tell me Bowser can do all this. This man comes with possible crystals that turns niggas into Super Saiyans.
Yeah, but we talking about hands, nigga.
I said they come with what they come in their bag. I said that the beginning.
I mean, obviously, yeah, if he has, he's gonna win.
They come with what they come in their bag. Sonic is super speed and can't catch Eggman lacking. How Bowser gonna do it? Sonic can't catch this nigga lacking on a regular.
I mean, you can't say Sonic
WGK. He put Bowser in the box. I'm gonna go with Bowser. Nah, I gotta go with Eggman on this one. I think Eggman wins though. He got more votes.
You made it a bad matchup because it's like if you would have said physical, okay, but you said
they come with their bag.
Okay, so you're saying that Eggman could be Batman because he got his shit.
If he
Eggman versus Batman,
Eggman can win that. Come with the bag.
But Batman come with his baggage too, then.
Nah, because what bag he got with him?
It's Batman. You know he always prepare for anybody, right?
Nah, you'll never.
What y'all say, chat? Eggman or Batman?
If you're talking about a karate fight, obviously Eggman loses.
No, I'm talking about they come with they bang, like you said. They come with they bang. Who you got?
Yeah, but you gotta understand that Eggman's bag come with technology that's prepared for a light speed creature. Batman is not moving at light speed. I could actually debate this. So Batman is not moving at light speed. Batman is not.
They say Batman's prepared for everybody though. That's what they always say.
Yeah, inside of your universe. That don't make sense. Batman is not taking on Metal Sonic. That nigga could go to the levels of fucking Super Sonic. Come on now. It's not happening, bro.
Yeah, Sonic is a magical creature. We talking about
we're talking about Metal Sonic, the one that Dr. Eggman made to beat Sonic. That can keep up with Sonic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Batman can't keep up with Sonic. He ain't keeping up with Super Sonic. With Metal Sonic. You said what would come with their bag.
So you wild enough for saying that Eggman could be Batman.
I know. You said would they come with their bag, but I'm coming with my tech. This nigga got a whole fortress that could travel through space. What are you talking about?
Batman is always prepped.
This nigga got a fortress that could travel through space. You're not understanding what I'm telling you. Batman ain't got no fortress that could travel through space.
But if Batman's being prepped for Superman, then who else would he wouldn't be prepped for?
Eggman, nigga.
Wow. Eggman could be Superman too?
Nah.
Why not?
Because he don't got kryptonite.
How you know that? He probably has some kind of like.
See, no, he never got it. You can't just make shit up.
He coming. No, you don't making stuff up.
You come with what you come with. Your bag never had kryptonite in it.
Okay,
you're done.
If he has
Batman is a human.
He has technology to fight a speed of light creature. You think he can't handle Superman?
No.
What?
Because that's the Man of Steel.
You being biased right now.
I'm not being biased right now.
I'm not being biased right
now. Without kryptonite, nobody beats Superman.
What's good, Don Heavy? No, magic. Superman could lose to magic.
Dr. Eggman ain't using magic. He's using tech.
He could come up with something. You know,
Man,
Dr.
ain't coming up
Eggman.
with nothing, nigga. You
He has
done.
crystals, nigga.
You ain't got no
The
crystals.
7 emeralds.
What you mean?
You telling me he can't come up with something with the 7 emeralds? That's
Nope.
like magic.
Nope.
Come on.
Not
Y'all see this chat?
You using super
Look,
shit.
he is
shit.
biased about Superman. We know this already. That's why I said that.
I'm not biased. I'm just making my point clear that Superman beats everybody. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, man.
Let's just accept that and move on. You understand what I'm saying? We good? We good?
Superman being
Dap
Sonic
me
too?
up. Dap me up.
He
Dap me
being
up.
Sonic too?
What you mean? Hell yeah.
I'm dead.
What you mean? What you mean? He trying to set me up. He try. All right. What's the worst movie?
I didn't see any of these movies, but
I fell asleep watching both of them, so I'm 50-50 on both of them. I fell asleep on both of them.
I just find Craven boring. I don't know.
What's
I mean-
the worst movie, chat? Both bad. I know both of them bad. Both trash. You gotta pick something. Something gotta be worse. Cause they both shit. I know that for sure.
I don't really care to watch any of these shits. I ain't
Now,
gonna lie.
well, guess what? You're gonna be stuck watching one of them. You gotta pick one. Which one's worse?
I mean, I like vampires more than whatever that nigga is. Who's the villain in that shit anyway? In Craven shit. Who was he fighting?
Craven, pretty much is the villain. He's the anti-villain at this point. It's like Venom.
He's fighting against another villain in the movie.
I didn't, man. I don't know. I fell asleep, man. I don't know.
I know Morbius fought like some other guy. Like
I don't know,
his
man.
man's.
I don't know,
That
man.
was also a
I
vampire.
didn't get that far.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get that far in neither one of them. Craven was sexy though. Don Abbey, I have not seen either. Heard they're so bad. Morbius is worse, Chomp. I don't even know what to pick because I ain't never really sat there and watched either one of them. I tried watching. I'm gonna answer it like this. Based on what I seen before I fell asleep, which one I would say, let me rewatch it and see what happens.
Mhm.
Probably Morbius. So I'm gonna say Craven's worse. Craven just didn't hold attention.
Yeah.
I just didn't
It's
care.
just boring to me. Like,
I just didn't care what was going
nigga
on.
who hunts monks, like whatever. Like I don't know.
They changed the Craven story. He was a good guy and animal lover. Craven hunts animals in the comics. So I
Yeah,
guess
they
what's
both
the vote? I say Craven is worse,
So about you sat down and actually watch both of these just like willingly, your own free will.
bro.
Like what made you want to sit down and watch
They,
these?
they're
shits?
comic book related. I gotta give it a shot, but it was both. Two of them was dry. Big Brooklyn said Craven was the worst. I said Craven is the worst. I agree. If I was to ever attempt to watch any one again, I'd probably choose Morbius. So
Yeah, because it looked like it could be have potential.
somewhat might be some
Vampire.
interest. Yeah, something. You know what I'm saying? Craven was just boring. I didn't see either, but I would think Morbius is better. He said, I mean, Craven always been an anti-hero. Craven was always in it for the hunt. He was never the type of villain that was trying to take over. You know what I'm saying?
He tried to fight Spider-Man though, I believe.
Because Spider-Man for him is the ultimate hunt.
Yeah.
That's all he's in it for.
But then I think he ended up chasing Venom, and Venom killed him.
Big Brooklyn said, I'm a comic fan, so I'll give any comic book a shot, movie a shot. Same here. Same here. But out of these two, yeah. Got a good question for this one.
What?
I got a great question for this one. This is the last one, chat. I'm going to use this very specific word. Which one of these sidekicks are more valuable to their main character? I use the word valuable specifically. Not saying that neither one of them aren't good. They're both dope sidekicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But which one of them is actually more valuable
I mean, that's Sonic. That's Sonic's mechanic. So
to their heroes? What do you think?
Tails, because that's Sonic's mechanic.
Okay, you say
Luigi don't really
Tails.
bring really nothing to the plate besides just a second set of arms.
Okay,
And then
I see what
Tails
you're
is just
saying.
more. He's actually smart as fuck, mechanic, build machines and shit for them. Like you do mad shit for the team.
I also say Tails, and chat seems to everybody else also saying Tails. He said it, and there's not much else for me to say. Sonic is the muscle.
Right.
That's the speed. That's the hero. Tails is the brains besides multiple layers of
That
operation.
nigga's smart as shit.
Smart as shit. He's the chemist.
Planner,
He's the
all
science.
that.
He's the
Word.
engineer. The nigga made a plane, bro.
Word. Like what?
And it's the best plane in the verse, bro. Like,
Dead ass.
and the nigga can fly naturally.
Mhm.
He rescues Sonic sometimes. I got
Right.
you, my nigga. You feel me? Like, Tails is that nigga.
Luigi's just more like a follow up. Like you need a man. that's
Luigi,
gonna-
yeah, that's your man.
Yo, pull up. We gonna run
Yeah,
down.
yeah, we gonna run.
Right.
We gonna
Yeah.
hit him with the minx,
You
minx.
got the follow up.
You feel me? He can fly. Exactly. Also, Tails flies Sonic exactly. Carries him around.
I'm gonna be honest though. Luigi he put in work though. But
He said, CJ said Luigi's buns, Tails be
nah,
ready for
don't
the
say
fight.
that. No. Luigi got hands. Don't get me wrong.
He said Luigi got
He got
hands.
hands.
Nah, Luigi
He
hold
said Tails
Mario
is
down.
smarter. Yeah, Luigi's just a
But it's just another set of hands.
yeah.
That's all it really is.
Right.
He's another set of hands. Tails, you could put Tails not on the ground to
Tails
fight.
will get fucked up though. Let's be real. He'll get fucked up
In
by
a fight?
anybody. Yeah,
Yeah, Tails not the fighter though.
yeah. He just
He's not the fighter.
he worries about Sonic, but Luigi actually put hands on niggas.
On the ground.
Yeah,
You could put Tails on a multiple layers of things to do.
yeah.
Tails could run the whole operation. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
CJ
Nah, you
says
see
you can
Luigi
have
make-
no,
you
but
didn't-
that's good. The Tails can help you map out a war.
You didn't
bro.
play Luigi's Mansion, Kitty?
Strategy.
He overcome his
Stats. Yo,
his
Tails.
fear.
You ever seen Tails when he goes evil? He's a problem, bro. When Tails go evil, he's a fucking problem, bro. For everybody, nigga. For everybody. He's a fucking menace, my nigga. You don't want an evil Tails, bro. Not yet.
Yo, Luigi is ready for war. Did y'all not play Luigi's Mansion? The nigga was in an haunted house with a fucking vacuum. He
Come
was
on, man.
wilding.
Tails would have figured out a better way to do that. Tails would have had a
Tails
beam
wouldn't
come
even be
over
that
the whole
Tails
house,
Tails
bubble
gonna-
up the whole house,
Tails
shrink
gonna
the
send- he
house,
gonna call Sonic.
put it in his pocket, and walk to Sonic.
Mind
with
you,
it.
when Tails dies in the Sonic games, what does he say?
Sonic.
Sonic!
Yeah,
He cries for Sonic.
So
So
what
he's
that mean?
helpless without Sonic.
yeah, but
Luigi actually stand
I
his own
said,
ground.
I said, who's more valuable?
I mean, yeah, past that, but I'm just saying, like, don't
But
front
nah.
on my son Luigi. though. Luigi, he get hands on niggas too.
And he said, and he was scared the whole time. Ash.
I mean, yeah, but what is it about? It's about being brave, right?
He said he was scared. He said he was scared. Yeah. Tails is more useful than Luigi. That's a
Yeah,
for
for sure.
For sure. Tails is way more of a useful, well more rounded psychic than Luigi is. Like you said, Luigi just another set of hands. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Oh shit.
Oh man, I was feeling that game right there.
That was fun.
Clap it up, chat. Like I said, we're gonna keep it at a short show today. Ash, anything else on your mind? Chat, any
Hold on.
questions y'all
Any
got?
questions for us, chat?
Anything y'all want to talk about? Throw it out there before we get ready to wrap it up. It is Mother's Day, you know. GK, I got a versus question for everyone. Go ahead and drop the question. CJ said Brave is flying a fighter jet, smoking niggas. That is true. That is true. Again, more valuable across the board.
Who's that?
He's talking about Tails. Brave is flying a fighter jet, smoking niggas.
Nah, brave is just being able. You could be scared, but being able to overcome your fears. Like
No,
niggas always be like, yeah, I'm scared, but
there's
I
layers
have
to
the-
it. You gotta face your fears.
Yeah.
That's brave. I get that. I see you. Everybody gets scared, but can you go through it? You know what I'm saying? What's the question, BT? You know what we haven't done in a while?
What?
A fusion.
I mean, you could do it.
I'm gonna do a fusion next week, chat. Kitty said Luigi got 3 games and we're still scared.
But he went through with it though.
He said he did go through with it.
He went through with it.
Who would BT Gamer said who would win in a fight? Master Chief or Spawn or Kick what?
Master Chef.
Master Chief or Spawn or Kick Ass? Why the levels of intensity so different with the comparison? You got Master Chief versus Spawn, and then Kick-Ass. Spawn is
Kick-Ass is human beings. So you can count
Spawn
them
is
out.
not even gonna show up to the fight. He's just gonna walk away.
Yeah, Spawn is too strong for both of them.
Spawn is like
And Master Chief is kind of like
a
super
god
soldier.
compared to the both of them. And then after Master Chief is gonna wipe through Kick-Ass. So Spawn then Master Chief, Kick-Ass don't even belong there. The intensity levels in your matchups is crazy.
Kick-Ass is just a bunch of assholes fighting. They get shot.
Kick-Ass
Master
is
Chief pull out a-
diabolical. Yeah, you
Master Chief
you
put out a
set
fucking spawn like one of those spike guns. Is over for them
Bro, he
niggas. Or
said-
DMR
over for who?
for niggas and Kick-Ass. He'll shoot them
All
apart.
that, but
He'll
nobody
put holes in them.
nobody in that verse is coming close to Master Chief, nigga.
Yeah.
Master Chief is a problem for niggas like Captain America, bro.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? He's a problem for them type of niggas. You know what I mean?
Word.
Kick-Ass though, like you set Kick-Ass up for failure on that one, bro. Bro said Spawn. I was like, Spawn? I read it twice. Did he say Spawn?
Y'all have any other questions for us though, chat? What other questions we got?
Anybody
Before
got
we wrap
anything
up.
else? Who do I got? What?
I say Spawn.
Everybody says Spawn. Spawn is wiping everybody out. Spawn is not even going to show up to the fight. He's going home. Spawn is going to stay home that day. Nigga going to look at the roster of fights and say, nah, I'm going to stay home. Anybody got anything else, chat? Any question? I gotta go see that MK movie soon.
Who said that?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Shit, you gonna waste your money on that?
I heard it was good.
Shit.
Papa John
I
seen
can
it.
see it in 4D.
Papa John seen
You
it.
wanna go
4D.
see it? You wanna go see it in 4D?
I wouldn't mind.
Let's do it. What day?
Papa Chomp seen it. He said it was dope, and so did Brooklyn Jeff. They both said it was dope.
Maybe we can see it on what day you gonna be off work?
I'm
Saturday,
off.
maybe.
Nah, I go back to work on Thursday.
I mean, shit. Tell me the day, and I'll be down.
All right, we can make it work. Let's see what they say. Trunks or Naruto? Trunks or Naruto?
I said that's another debate for another day. If you were,
That's not a
to be
debate.
Siberia, who
That's
would
not a
you
debate.
be?
Trunks gonna chew up the whole verse in 2 seconds. Trunks, why you keep setting people up? Naruto has no shot. No shot at all. The whole verse together combined times 2 got
Well,
no shot.
Hollywood, I'd probably be Flash. Flash is my guy.
What's the question?
If you were to be a superhero, who would it be? And
Superman.
who would be your adversary?
Superman.
Then you gotta worry about millions of people trying to kill you.
As Superman?
Mm-hmm.
Do I really have to worry about that? Is that a worry?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Kryptonite.
Nigga, in the real world, Kryptonite don't exist.
Dealing with Lex Luthor. A nigga
That's
like
not what
that.
the question is. He said, in real life, right now, what superhero would I
And
want
who
to
would
be?
be your adversary? So that means who would
That
you
means
wanna
I
be?
get to pick who my adversary would be.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, man. Give me somebody that can't do shit. I don't want no adversary, nigga.
I know what kind of Superman you would be. You're gonna be one of them niggas that's
Oh,
like
the
a
world
Homelander.
will be in peace, nigga.
You're gonna be like a Homelander, bro.
Y'all gonna be no
Anybody-
Homelander. Y'all gonna behave your fucking selves, nigga.
Exactly. So you can't step out of line.
Resources
You
is
can't
for
be a human
everybody. What do you mean?
So you can't make mistakes.
So y'all want to keep killing the planet?
I'm just saying, if somebody make a mistake, what you gonna do? You gonna
Mistake like what?
just a mistake like
That's a
that.
regular mistake. I'm talking nuclear wars. That shit is over, nigga. The shit is over.
Okay, so you gonna
We ain't
become-
doing none of that shit no more because I said so.
Oh, so you gonna cut it out? Period.
It's,
like-
it's done for. That's it. Nigga, if I'm Superman, it's over for. We're doing everything the right way, nigga. It's gonna be free electricity for everybody, nigga. That's what the fuck we gonna do. Shit.
Okay.
Everybody gonna be happy, nigga. Nobody gonna have no bills, nigga. We gonna actually cure these diseases, nigga. That's what the fuck we gonna do.
Okay, so but the government gonna be all up on your body.
Nigga, I'm Superman. What are they going to do? shoot me, poison
Something.
me. Get out of here. You're gonna fix
They're
this
gonna come up with something. You know, the government always come up with something.
It's Superman, my guy. What? What? What?
You gotta have at least a weakness if you're gonna be a Superman.
That's not what the question is. The question is, I get to be Superman right now. That's what it is. Kryptonite does not exist in real life. I'm just y'all gonna behave y'all fucking self. The air gonna be clean, nigga.
I'm dead.
The water gonna be tasty again. Fuck is wrong with you? That's food will be organic again because I said so. Shit.
He said, problem is, GK, some subjects are not black and white. Let them know, man.
What's not black and white?
You make it seem like it's easy, and it's not gonna be. You know, it's not gonna be easy.
Oh, then you go to sleep. What did y'all
gonna
say
kill
to me?
niggas?
Go to sleep.
Damn.
You're gonna do it because I said so, nigga.
Yeah, so you're gonna be like a homelander.
You want fresh air? You want fresh air or not?
I'm dead.
You want organic fruits?
Right.
That's what the fuck we gonna get, nigga. We won't have an electric bill ever again. The shit will be free. Fuck. Shit free. We doing all of that. Water will be clean once again because I said so. The fuck? Fuck is wrong with y'all? Any more questions, chat? Everybody dance now. Any more questions, chat? BT Gamers, I be the Flash.
Yo, GK. Let me hear something. Drop some bars, bro.
Who asking for the bars? I'm about to throw this shit like a dynasty. I'm reaching from afar. How I'm getting there? Gas it up. Let me drop him. Let me jump in my car.
You're dropping all these stuff. I'm dead.
Listen, they asking for the bars, and I'm gonna have to give it to them. I'm gonna have to kill them. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and pray, God willing. Should we use this tax money to build the traffic light in front of the school or give more money free medicine? Just an example of what do you mean should we use? The concept of money is just what they giving. Nigga, do both. The fuck? Do both. That's it.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you only have money to
Figure it out.
If you only have money to what you call it, to put into one thing, what would it be? As you a Superman,
Figure it out.
who you telling that to? The
You
president?
got the resource, nigga. I'm not trying to hear none of this bullshit y'all telling me. Make both
You
of it
basically
happen.
gonna be like
I'm not trying to hear you, bro.
you're gonna be like an enforcer, basically. You're not gonna be none of the political.
The water
stuff.
will be clean, bro. The air will be clean, bro. All this bullshit, nuclear weapons and all that. Why? You're not doing it.
What's the question, BTA? But yeah, if you're gonna be like, you're gonna have to allocate money to where it needs to be.
Why are we allocating money anywhere? All these armies and wars and all that is over.
I see what you're saying.
All these trillions of dollars that we spending on wars is over
So
because
there's
I
no
said
more
so.
money. Okay.
Ain't no wars no more.
So no more money then.
You don't even need an army no more, nigga. I said no, nigga.
That's between the two of you. BTA. That's not a. Come on, BTA.
In a boxing match,
That's my brother, man. I'll never fight my mans.
if you have Superman, the trillions in military spending would be cut exactly. You don't need trillions of every country don't need to be spending trillions of dollars. You got a Superman. Who's invading anywhere,
Yes,
nigga?
and
You're not invading nothing. You feel me? What Cammy said. I think water will be done. What blood? What blood I'm Superman. Do you realize I can defeat a whole army in 2 seconds? What blood? What do you
what army though? But you understand, if you defeat an army, that means you're gonna be basically taking a side. You can't take a
Nobody
side of
has an
Superman.
army because I said so.
Yeah, but you gotta think
They
about
ain't no
it.
but nothing.
Russia. If Russia wants to invade America for some kind of oil, what you?
How you gonna
you
invade? You
break
got
it?
no weapons. Where you going?
So you're taking everything.
You
from
got to get
everybody.
past me first. Where you going? Where you going? I don't understand these questions. We're saying in a realistic
Between
world,
the
we got a
consecrated and
Superman,
professional security,
and you guys are
we have
asking me
one.
questions about an invading army that the man can dismantle in 0.2 of a second. Where are you going? Where you going? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Mhm.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
W mod. between the content creator and the professional security. Gee, I wonder. Hey man,
What?
what other hero could stand up to Goku? There's quite a few heroes that can stand up to Goku. You mean besides like Superman?
Somebody said mental note. Don't give GK Superman powers.
Oh, so y'all don't want clean air? Is what I'm saying. I don't want clean air. Y'all don't want a crime-free world. That's what you don't want. You guys don't want, crime-free, fresh air, real food. That's what you don't want. All right, then don't let me be Superman then. Because that's what I'm going to give y'all. That's what y'all going to get. Fresh air. Air is going to be real.
Mm-hmm.
Air is going to be real again, world. The fuck?
Then you got to maintain that for all
I don't
countries.
have to maintain nothing. Because I told
Whose country is that
I
maintained
told
for?
you to do it. That's what I said.
So it's going to be for all countries in the world?
The world. This is for the
So,
world.
okay, so you're going to make the world just one whole...
One unified,
nation?
beautiful place to live, nigga. I will eradicate famine. It's over. It's over.
How you want to eradicate that?
Because I'm going to tell
That's
you to do
Superman?
it. That's what the fuck I
You
said.
gonna tell? So
You don't have trillions of dollars to invest in wars no more.
So then, okay.
You got way more money to invest in.
Okay, boom. But so they be like, no, we're not doing that. Then what?
Well, you go to sleep.
What you mean go to sleep? You gonna kill him?
Yeah, nigga.
You wild.
No, I'm not wild, nigga. You go to sleep.
Superman not supposed to kill,
You
nigga.
talking real world, nigga? I said clean the air, nigga. Is what you gonna do? Is what I said. You guys
You
act
gonna be
like
on some Ultraman
you guys are
shit.
acting like it's a debate. It's not a debate, motherfucker. The world will be safe, nigga. Everywhere you go, you will be safe, nigga. That's it. Because I said so. That's it. Shit.
Yeah, but then you gonna have niggas who gonna be scared to just be themselves.
No, you're not. I ain't bothering you. I don't give a fuck about you and your life. I don't give a fuck about you and your life. But y'all won't be killing each other and making nuclear bombs, fucking up nature. You will not be fucking up
So
nature,
you gonna
sir.
be like on some what's that
You
nigga came?
will
Captain Planet type nigga?
Yes. You will not be fucking up nature. Newborn babies need fresh air, nigga. The fuck? What? Hey, listen, we're gonna solve the problem, Cam. Fuck that. The problem will be solved. Shit.
Fucking just eradicate the whole human
Thanos,
race
nigga.
on some
Y'all gonna behave yourself. That's what I said.
on some errand shit.
That's what the fuck I said. Ain't no borders no more. You can't have this, nigga. If you need the resource, you will get it. That's it. Fuck out of here. Period. That's it. Air will be fresh again, nigga. Shit. Niggas over here extincting animals and taking over resources. Man, fuck you. Let the lion eat the gazelle, nigga. That's what he does.
Nigga, what?
Let the lion eat the gazelle. Stop taking this nigga habitat over and shit.
So
Leave
that-
nature, nigga. We need rah all over the place.
No, rocks. But then the gazelles gotta eat too. Then what they gonna eat? If they dying by the lions.
They ain't dying by the lions. Whatever the fuck they do is there, nigga. Go gazelle. Shit. Go make more. The fuck?
I see what you're saying.
No one would need to be hungry. Hey, the problem will be solved. Shit. GK's gonna have his own Wakanda. You goddamn right I will. You goddamn right I will. Shit. You can't even hide from me. This nigga can hear everything all over the world, nigga. You can't even. Damn.
Superman is not on that time, man. He's
Of
not
course he
hearing
is.
nothing in Africa.
Of course he can.
How?
Because he can hear it wherever the fuck
Cat.
he wants
That
to.
nigga.
How is it cat?
That nigga shit is just Metropolis City. You don't
No, it
see
ain't
him
just
govern no other
Metropolis City.
place.
He chooses to shut
You
the
ain't
shit
never
off.
see Superman in
you mean?
Africa
What you mean?
and fucking.
I seen Superman fly around the
Peru.
world 10 times in about 0.2 of a second. I mean, what do you
He
running?
got notified about something from another government.
What you mean?
And they got
Because he
sent over
chooses
there.
not to listen to everything. That's really what it is. He chooses
Yeah,
not to listen to
that's why I
everything.
wouldn't be so black and
But
white.
the point is, he can. Anybody ask any other question? Okay, here we go. If you had to live in a movie, which would it be? Superhero movies don't count. Ooh.
To live in the movie.
If you had to live in a movie, okay, I would choose. You ever seen what's that movie with what's that actor name again? Fuck is this dude name? White dude. Fuck. It was like rich people lived on top of like this base, and regular people were still down here, but they had so much good technology like sickness and all that
What was
shit
that?
didn't count. They can just, you need a new heart, they can make you one. You know what I'm saying?
don't remember.
Elysium.
Elysium? I
Was
never
it
heard
was it Elysium I'm talking about, chat?
It's all right, BTA.
Nah, don't worry about it, B. Don't worry about BTA. You Gucci. A world like Elysium where I live on top with the elite. I just don't like that the people at the lower end. But give me one of those worlds where like technology is so good, like a Star Trek kind of world where technology is so advanced that like sickness and health and nobody worries about those things. Those things are like beneath you. You get what I'm saying? You got cancer. They don't even exist no more. Disease don't even really like exist no more. We know how to. You know what I'm saying?
So look, I got a question. You said you are stuck in the world of the last game your fellow host played.
Shit, that means Ash, you're stuck in Street Fighter.
So the last thing I played was fucking Marvel Rivals.
Damn.
You're gonna be fucking fighting all day.
You gonna be a Street Fighter, nigga.
Shit.
Last game I played was Street Fighter, so he's stuck in a Street Fighter verse.
Them niggas get money, so fuck it.
Technically, unless you're an actual Street Fighter, everybody else is normal.
Yeah, but they be fucking wilding out and that shit though.
LOL, Mario Castle. Yeah, that's not the last game I played. I played Street Fighter last night. Maybe Ash will be one of the guys who in the background. That's what I'm saying. Them other regular
I'm gonna
people.
be far from that. Them fights they be bugging out.
Diablo, nah. You could keep that down, Ivy. Nigga said Diablo. I'm good on that. That's the last game you played. I'm good on that. Gotta pick a stage
That's too broad of a question.
What's the
BTA.
question?
If you could get rid of any sickness, what sickness would it be?
Cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer is all over. Cancer is a broad category. So you get rid of cancer, you get rid of a lot. You know what I'm saying? He said, yo, Holly, I was telling them, son. Remember I was telling you earlier that Ryu was cooking last night?
Mm-hmm.
It was me and Holly hanging out all night. Holly, yo, I only lost rounds, bro. I didn't lose a set for like an hour and change. Ryu ain't lose a whole set for like an hour and change.
Private matches?
Nah, nigga, I was online.
Oh.
I was online, bro. Ryu was cooking. Broski was unstoppable at. Yo, tell him, Holly. Ryu was frying niggas, B. Frying niggas, yo. Talk to him, Holly. Shit. GK changed his name to Diamond Crush to
Crazy. Diamond Crush. I'm dead.
All right, chat. If y'all don't got no more questions, Ash, you ain't got nothing else for the people?
Nah.
If y'all got any more questions, time them in right now. I'm excited for the Street Fighter. I'm going to watch it with an old friend of mine. I'm excited for it, too. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm excited for that Street Fighter movie, too.
Shit, me, I'm just...
You ain't excited?
Not really.
You a hating ass nigga. That's why. We all know you a hating ass nigga. Are you not excited for the Street Fighter movie, bro? You're not a real Street Fighter nigga.
I'm not.
You're not.
Street Fighter don't really excite me.
You're not. I know. You're a fake friend, bro.
I'm dead.
Nah.
Shit, whenever I get the time, Hollywood.
What he saying?
When I'm doing another dub video.
Yo, appreciate the bits, man. Kitty, can I get a shout out to my boy real quick before we sign out? W Stream, about to be your new home. Yeah, man, I haven't seen the original movie. Oh, you gotta see the original. The original is amazing. Bestie bits all day. So ask
the original Street Fighter shit?
Yeah, you seen it?
Nah.
You gotta watch it. It's not good, but it's good. It's like one of those corny good movies. You get what I'm saying? You gotta watch it though. I appreciate y'all. Ash, anything you want to say to the people before we sign on out?
I appreciate y'all for pulling up, showing love, dropping y'all comments. I wish everybody a happy Mother's Day to your mothers and just enjoy your Sunday. Fresh start of a new week.
Yup. Okay, chat. Let me talk to y'all real quick. Like I said, me and the crew's working on a new thing. Y'all want to see you guys clips of you guys, not everybody else, the people in our community. And we're gonna watch you guys clips every Sunday, and every Sunday we'll vote on clip of the day and give a special shout out to the clip of the day. And also you get to watch each other's clips, you know what I'm saying? And see what we got going on. Whatever y'all make clips of video games, fucking IRLs, y'all content creating. We're gonna set that up. Codes are gonna set that up, and we're gonna send it to the Discord, and we're gonna work on that. Also, congratulations again to CJ the DJ and Melanated Monet on their beautiful baby boy coming into the world.
You posted it to Discord, BTA.
Yeah, we're gonna do it to Discord. We're gonna do it to Discord. Yeah, Hollywood. I'm trying to get more interactive with you guys and get you guys to be more of a part of the show every week since we all show up. You get what I'm saying?
I had a question too, though. What happened to Workshop Wednesdays?
Workshop Wednesday ain't going nowhere. It's coming back just now.
Okay.
I gotta get another build.
Oh, that shit, it messed up completely?
What? No, it worked.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the last episode that I did, it worked. It went up, it went down, it worked.
Okay.
Feel
so
me?
you just wanted to
What
work
Ash is
something else.
asking about is Workshop Wednesdays, where I used to make clips of being a player. You feel me? Of be shut up, Bigfoot. It was every Wednesday I used to do a workshop where I do builds. I haven't done one since the last one, which was like what, 2 months ago. So I got that coming up also as well.
You didn't even like the build you was working with?
Huh?
The build you had, you didn't really like it?
The spaceship?
Yeah.
The spaceship was dope. Spaceship was dope.
Okay.
So apart from that, when we get that up and going, I'll let you guys know. You guys can start sending in your clip as soon as Twin Koza get everything up and running on the Discord, and I'll let you guys know. Stay tuned with me during the week. Tomorrow is Mario Monday. We back on Mario. Yay. So we're gonna see what happens with that.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Monday.
You back on Mario? You said tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay.
Back on. I'm back
Never
on
thought
that.
I'd see you playing Mario.
But
I ain't gonna lie. I'm glad to see the expansion, you know?
So yeah. So I'm gonna be going to a job interview next Sunday. Oh, good luck to you, brother. Good luck to you. Best of luck to you for real, for real. All right, chat. Y'all already know what time it is. Everybody appreciate y'all for checking in. Happy Mother's Day again to all the
Happy
mothers.
Mother's Day, chat.
And all of you guys mothers. If you're not a mother, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. We definitely appreciate y'all. Y'all already know what time it is. It's your boy, Golden